Captain's log. The question of justice has concerned me greatly of late. And I say to any creature who may be listening, there can be no justice so long as laws are absolute. Even life itself is an exercise in exceptions.
Welcome to a special presentation of the Chad Duke Show and Fortress Film Society. Make it show.
That's a talented person right there.
Oh, marvelous. Bobby McFerrin, look out.
I love that. Hey, Jesse, are you drinking? All right, you pass that bottle to him. Hey, Ant-Man, since you were late, will you grab me a non-alcoholic seltzer? Thank you. Oh, boy. Welcome, everybody. Let's all go number 3 down number 1's throat. It is the Fortress Film Society, and we present Make It Show.
I didn't co-sign on that tagline.
A Star Trek. Yeah,
it just depends who's number 3.
We're already printing up the number. Well, the number 3. You should figure it out. What's number 2?
Yeah.
What's number 1? So what would number 3 be?
I don't like that.
WP.
I didn't even come up with that. Goat knows where that came from.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, you got a mousetrap? Can you do me a favor? Don't put that down until the dog's not here. Thank you, guys. Don't worry about it here, Dukes. I'm going to take care of that Ripley Dukes problem you've been having all these last 7 years.
Yeah, the worst part is, as soon as I saw the episode title, I knew exactly what you were talking about
Yep.
and the direction the conversation was going to go in.
Unfortunately. It fit, though. It fit today's
It
episode
worked.
of the program. Well, we're all very excited to be here. This has been a long time coming. It is a spin-off show from the Fortress Film Society, as the three of us are big Next Generation fans. TNG, as it is called in the community. I am shooed. He got up again.
Yeah.
I swear to fucking God.
Almost immediately.
I don't know what happens. I don't know how it happens, but it's like
He's 2 for 2.
he's got to get up in the middle of the show. I don't know. I think it's more of a dick swinging thing at this point.
It's like, well, look, I can do this, and what are you going to do about
No,
it?
I'm not going to do much. That is absolutely the case. I'm shooting. There is Gigantor. You look a little out of breath, buddy.
Yeah, I had wanted to run over and lock the elevator.
Who's Wanda? I did notice that you're wearing your UFO hat tonight because
I
we're
am.
talking aliens.
I love this hat.
I do like that. Any update on who Wanda is?
No update there.
Jimmy J, on the ones and twos back there, of course. There he is, Jim Daddy. Loud Goat is here. Hello, Goat.
Hello. It's good to be here on the bridge of the Fortress of Solid
That's
Dudes.
right. NCC 1701, Tiny Dick. And there is, speaking of that,
I was going to say Z, but you know.
Oh, okay. Z, what's a ZJ? Yeah, he doesn't have that problem, of course. King Dingaling is here. Handsome Matty. Tube Steaks the Tube. Hello, Dottie.
I've been sleeping in the holodeck for the last 4 weeks.
There was a really weird line. I was watching the one last night where that lesser civilization figures out a way to blank the crew's memory and then wants to use them to destroy their enemy because technologically they're very low on the totem pole. And Riker and Ro get it on, and it's wild because he's getting back with Deanna the whole time because they're figuring out maybe we mean something to each other, but he's fucking Ro the whole time he's doing it. And at one point they walk past the holodeck and he goes, I bet I could come up with an exotic program or two. Aww. And Ro goes, well, if you had me around, you wouldn't need that holodeck or some shit. I'm like, you two are saucy.
He is the biggest space pervert in history.
He's a sex man. More than Shatner?
I was about to say,
yeah.
I feel like Kirk might still be the champ in that regard, but
I feel like Riker only puts it to when he goes on vacation to Ryza. I feel like that's when he puts it to all the chicks. Because that's where he gets. Do you remember the one where they put the fucking game on his head and it goes and it zombifies the entire. He's putting it to some alien chick, and that's how it happens. She puts the game on him, and
it's check this out. It'll make it even better.
He's fucking an alien in that not the movie, but the episode First Contact, which is a great episode, by the way.
He's a sex pervert.
Yeah. Big pervert.
There's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think he's supposed to be more of a Lothario.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
He gets around.
He certainly does. Yeah. He sticks it in a lot of. Does anyone stick it in Beverly that isn't that alien that's living on that Irish world?
Oh yeah.
Do you remember that alien living on that Irish world sticks it to Beverly? There's another alien.
The one who's done her entire family for
generations.
Fucking
her mom and her grandmother, and then she finds out about it and still lights the candle.
Well,
give it to me.
Then.
Data puts it in Tasha Yar though. Early in the
Early
show,
on,
too.
sexy ass Tasha
Yeah.
Yar too.
Oh, yeah.
Tori, you should watch that episode. There's Tasha Yar like she got a slit up to her fucking neck and she's fucking smoking.
I didn't know there was this much banging going on.
A lot of fucking.
Well, I
All
mean,
right.
You're
they're on a ship in the middle of nowhere.
Certainly are.
What else are you gonna do?
not a lot of shore leave.
No, you just gotta fuck
Seems-
nonstop.
yeah.
Families everywhere, though. It is weird.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get to. I guess we'll get to all that. There's.
Will we?
The fucking probably will have to wait till episode 2. So we each picked an episode for. I'm sure there'll be some general discussion.
Of course.
I'm in the throes of rewatching the entire series. That's why
Gotcha.
everything's kind of fresh.
Very
in
top
mind
of
right now.
mind,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So we have 4 episodes to discuss tonight, and hopefully you guys, if you're watching this, you've watched them, and if not, you can pause and go back and check it out. We've all watched all 4 episodes, correct?
Indeed.
Yes.
None of us are going to lie about watching 20 minutes and then not be able to produce one plot point, are we? Are any of us going to do that?
I don't plan to.
Okay.
I mean, I can always call an audible, but
No one hit me up for cliff notes on what we were discussing before I came to the studio.
Interesting. That's probably just because you blocked his number. My episode is season 3, episode 15, Yesterday's Enterprise. Tours is Clues, season 4, episode 14. Spoiler alert, I chose Tours. Goats is Conspiracy, season 1, episode 25. And King Dingaling is I, Borg, season 5, episode 23. I don't know how you guys chose your episodes. And I'm this is no disrespect to you, Donnie, but I almost felt like the later it got, the more it was like a cheat code, because I think that, like, this is one of those shows that once these characters are kind of more comfortable, they started getting paid and they started playing these guys more and more regular. Because if you read about the beginning of this show, it was fucking bedlam. Like, everyone is getting fired left and right, and that's why Crusher isn't on the fucking thing in season 2 or whatever.
Right.
You have that bitch Pulaski instead.
She's the worst.
There's a reason I almost chose the season 2 episode and then realized we can't do a Pulaski episode. It's just too much hate.
not right out of the gate.
Too much hate.
Well,
We're going to have to
also-
edit a lot.
She had that episode where she mispronounced Data's name and was like really arrogant about it. I'm like, hey, get out! Who are you to make fun of this man's name? Pulaski? What? I'm gonna learn it. Your name sounds like a tire fucking company. So that stinks. But I wanted to go. I didn't want to go like I think seasons like 4, 5, and 6 to me are like the meat on the bone.
Yeah.
So I was trying to go a little bit before that, but then I didn't want to dip my toe in season 1 like Goat did, just because I feel like everybody was on peyote when they wrote season 1.
Hey, they're really trying to figure out what's going on. I mean, and I guess that's the same for most shows that are season 1 of that era.
Yeah.
I think. I
well,
can't
and just
think
in
of a lot of-
general, a lot of TV
Yeah.
shows, season 1 is getting your feet under you,
Yeah,
finding
I mean,
your sea legs.
I say the same thing about like X-Files and some of the other like staples of like 90s television. So
Yeah.
it's understandable, and they definitely it's weird once you have seen the show going back to season 1, because the first time through it wasn't that jarring to me, but then once I went back, I was like, holy shit, this is almost a different program, or like it's almost like a dream version of the show that you know.
It's almost like they say we have to make the women look like hell also. And like, because if you look at Seinfeld, you look at Friends, you look at TNG, it's like they don't look anything like they're ultimately going to look, and it's the same actress. You know, if you just do their hair a little bit differently, put them in a better. Do you remember the episode?
Well, you could afford a better makeup and stylist person.
You think that's what it is?
As things goes on, the budget gets better, and things become a little bit more of a success. So I think there is something to that.
Really?
I mean, there's got to be at least a little bit to that.
Did you see the episodes where Deanna's wearing like the skirt? Like they actually had the women walking around in like the original series, like they had the
mini skirts.
shirt, but the mini skirts.
I noticed a couple ensigns that had the skirts in Goat's episode, actually.
Yes.
And he actually even a dude in the background.
In the
I think.
skirt?
Yeah.
Did he really?
It was either that or really short shorts, and he's in the background working on something.
Like a Lieutenant Dangle from Reno 911. What went into your picking your episode there, Goat?
My episode was kind of a landmark episode as far as the growth of the show. It really was an episode that, if you look at it at first glance, it kind of goes off the rails for what you might expect
Completely.
from Star Trek, because up until then, the Federation, the higher ranking members of the Federation have been above reproach. They're always really altruistic. They've got the best interests of all of humanity and beyond in mind, and so they're acting accordingly. And up until that episode, Next Generation had some landmark moments. You had Tasha Yar pass away in an episode in season 1. if you knew stuff behind the scenes, it wasn't that big of a shock. But if you didn't, if you were just watching the show to watch it, it was like, whoa.
Well, nobody knew stuff behind the scenes then, like unless you bought TV Guide,
unless
a month
you were
later,
really, and so that was a jarring occurrence on TV for a show like this, where most characters had plot armor. So this episode, you're basically safe from all permanent harm because of the plot.
Your episode sticks out to me because I had to watch it. There was a tape going around of that episode in my school, because the only way you could watch Star Trek when it was still on was they would show it on whatever DC-20.
It was on
UPN. I don't remember.
I remember it was before I think even UPN was a thing.
Was.
It was Channel 20 on Sunday mornings at like 10 o'clock.
But they took that one off. Like they
showed it once.
Yeah, they got a bunch of complaints.
And they never showed it again. Yeah.
So a buddy of mine had it taped, and I remember watching it and thinking I had the same reaction of watching a porno, because it was like something completely forbidden.
Yeah.
And I knew that if my mom saw the end of that fucking show, that she wouldn't let me watch Star Trek anymore.
And it was a show that really kind of proved that this was a different series than the original.
I think Conspiracy is the first truly great episode of this series. I think that there are some good ones floating around season 1. It picks up really around season 3, but I think that episode is the first really great episode to come out. And it's towards the end, but I think that one I think it's the best of that season.
It's really interesting. I do think that there's a lot of we can talk about it.
It's not without its flaws.
It's very neat. I'm fine with gore. It's felt like it did not fit for me. Maybe that's because now I have all these seasons now that I can go back and look at it, and that one really stands out. I mean, there's violence in the show, and there's weird shit that happens, but that was a very, very violent, over-the-top episode.
Yeah.
And that would be my biggest criticism. But let's not get into it too quickly.
But that's why I chose my episode.
It's actually a perfect episode to choose to discuss, so I'm glad you did. Dottie, what about you?
I went with Borg because I really like how divided, and we can get more into the plot, but how divided the crew is.
Sure.
I think that they're very much like teams and a moral conundrum between groups of the bridge crew instead of like one character versus...
Oh no, it's a moral conundrum.
Sorry, go ahead.
No, of course.
I had to do it.
I like that the crew is divided. It's not just like one person pitted against the other. I think there's also a good emotional stakes in it, which... they do pretty well in parts of the series, but I think this is one of the better ones. I know that the Borg is kind of a cop-out. Any episode with the Borg is going to be killer.
You're going to be steamed up.
But I think that this is one of the best I wouldn't call this episode like a quintessential TNG episode like Best of Both Worlds involving the Borg. I guess like if we were trying to pick a Borg episode that wasn't definitive of the show, this is probably the one that I would go with.
It's funny you say that. I don't want to give away too much. To me, this is the beginning of the end for the Borg, which ultimately would take place in Voyager, where there's that other race that's like destroying them or whatever. I liked them way better when they were untouchable.
Okay.
And they felt very touchable in this one and very vulnerable. And they should have killed them all. I'm reading this. This is fucking okay. I read
it's gonna be okay.
A graphic novel called Hive, and it's a time travel Borg episode.
Okay.
And it's about Locutus 500 years in the future. The Borg have conquered the entire galaxy, and he realizes that the Queen was mistaken because now they have no drive. So he hatches a plan to assassinate her. But to do it, he has to resurrect Data and send him back in the future to get Picard to sacrifice. It's a whole fucking crazy goddamn thing. But it's fabulous because the Borg are the baddest fucking, guys on the block again. And I miss that because when we get to season 7 or whatever it is, and Lore is like weaponizing the emotional Borg, I'm like, ugh. They don't have the shields anymore that can stop the phaser fire, and they're like yelling at each other. Like, get the fuck out of here. Just a bunch of rubber suited idiots. But the best of both worlds, man. That's about as good. I'm glad we didn't pick it just because it's so cliche at this point.
Right.
Man, people don't like watching that goddamn those two episodes. I don't know what to tell them.
Another reason I chose it is I think there can be really goofy Geordi episodes, and
the one where he turns into an alien is pretty goofy.
And this is, I think, a really good Geordi episode, and those are, I think, few as a part of the series.
What sucks now, like LeVar Burton is not a fan of the show anymore, which is weird because I saw that he signed on to do Picard, but he has like some real gripes about how he thought Geordi should have had more love interests and all this other shit. But I don't know, like Worf is treated like a buffoon the entire fucking series. I mean, Worf's supposed to be the baddest guy on the block, and he just gets his ass kicked for 7 straight seasons.
Later on, Michael Dorn was frustrated with Worf in the movies. He feels like Worf got the shaft in the 4 movies that followed. And you know, on the inverse, I think is it First Contact where Geordi's not wearing the visor.
Yeah.
Because LeVar Burton said, I'm only doing the movie if you let me act with my fucking eyes. Like,
Right.
I'm not going to wear the visor, which is just... It looks good because it's a movie, but it's still just it's a little out of place.
But if I was them at that point, I absolutely would start making those demands. It's like Stone Cold is, I'll come out on Raw. I'm not doing any more house shows. Like, you get to a certain level where you can ask for that type of stuff.
Well, and apparently the way it was attached to his head really hurt.
Oh, I can't
yeah,
imagine.
I think he's mentioned that, like, where the actual apparatus, how they attached the visor to his head, caused migraines, basically. Like, while the entire time he was acting, it was just like, well, this is stuck to my head and hurts like hell.
It was a cool way of having him have a completely unique look without putting more like alien prosthesis on his fucking head.
Without more ridges.
Yeah, I like Geordi a lot. So what are your top 3 characters individual episode? Boy, this is nerdy. When you fire up an episode, what are your top 3 characters episodes? It's got to be Riker, Picard, Data, right?
Yeah.
That's what I was.
That's my
probably
order
fire
too.
out.
I think it might be.
I might even say
Worf vacillates in and out.
I think it all depends on which one, because if it's anything involving his kid, no thank you.
Alexander.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's delightful.
The first Alexander episode is unwatchable.
Yeah.
Like, that kid cannot act, and they write horrible lines for him, and he just bitches and whines for 2 hours.
Well, and the prosthesis is so big, he looks like he's going to topple over at every point in the show.
The one where him and his brother have to, like, they're like trying to fucking team up to get Gowron in as the High Council leader instead of the Duras brothers or whatever. That's a great episode where Worf's kind of like pulling the strings behind the scenes, and then ultimately he gets his spoiler alert, gets his honor back.
Well, look at that.
I would fucking blow Michael Dorn. All right, so did you guys answer the question? I'm sorry, I'm too fired up.
I believe we were in the same category. I feel like I think I might put a Picard episode above a Riker episode just because he's got
the best.
a longer and more storied. He's got a lot more to explore. But I do like Riker-centric episodes because you don't know a lot about him until those episodes come up. So, like, you hear a lot about Picard just from offhand conversations throughout the entire series. But then, like, an episode like that late series episode where the ship he supposedly started the mutiny on, you learn that about him, and you're like, whoa, okay, he's got that in him. So that's like, even at that late stage in the series, they're still fleshing out that character, which is kind of great.
Did Picard? Well, Riker started a mutiny also. Where did Picard?
No, that's the
start?
one I'm saying. The Riker one. Yeah,
that's a great one, by the way. You know, scary, sneaky good ones are Chief O'Brien episodes. Wherever like Chief O'Brien has like there's the one where like his old general is out, or a captain is out blowing up ships and saying the Cardassians are like trying to fuck us over, but I don't have any proof. It's a really good episode. I think he's really good in it. And Barclay episodes are pretty good. Like, there's some tertiary characters, I think, that every once in a while do some good shit.
Yeah, anytime Cole Meany pops up in the guest star in the opening credits, I get like, fuck
Yeah.
this is gonna be good.
And then if somebody else is standing at the transporter pad, I'm like, who's this fucking jobber? Fucking asshole. Fuck off. Get out of here. Dude, that first season, Geordi's a member of security, where he's got the red shirt on, he's running around. Like, that stinks.
it's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's thank Danielle Connor. Very, very generous. We are accepting donations. Thank you so much. Appreciate you. Very, very generous, Danielle, who always is generous. Thank you so much. She was our Consulcade winner for the month in Chad Duke Show Gaming, so I appreciate her. And then, Tor, I'm sorry. You're going to need your apparatus. Phil Croninger, killing the game, as always, murdering it. I didn't want this for you, young man, but I didn't know Phil was going to, go as hard as he was in the fucking paint, so.
Look, I have to contribute to this somehow. So
You're wearing your hat? Look at that. You got a nice hat with a UFO on it. It's got the stars on it. And our stars remind us that the past is real, Tor. All right, here we go. This is going out to Phil Croninger. Of course, if you would like to donate, help keep the cable. I got to pay the cable bill. Shit, will you remind me, please? Yeah, go to ChadDukeShow.com. There is a little drop-down menu. You can donate if you like. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll have a sip for you on the show. All right, let's just take a moment.
Doing donations with bourbon tonight, huh?
It's a bad idea.
Yeah.
It's not a good idea. I've had better ones, but I was excited. It feels like a fancy show. I wanted to do something
A little more refined.
First time together in a couple of weeks.
Sit there and chortle light beers. I can do that anytime.
I have not enjoyed this particular drink before.
What do you think?
Oh, of course, it's wonderful.
It's very, very affordable if you can find it. The problem is it's very difficult to find. It's called Buck. Not Buck. That's a different game that Fat Albert used to play. No, this is called Buck. Are you modeling it right now? Well, no, free plugs.
Oh, no free plugs.
Don't you
Excuse
model
me.
that. No.
put that
Doesn't
down.
matter. You're not me, so you ain't getting no camera time anyway.
Oh, that's right.
Jester couldn't get the camera on Goat fast enough before he took the label down.
Also, it's just been on me the whole time. Tor is about to shotgun the beer. Thank you, Jester. I appreciate that.
Good. Okay. Cool.
This is for Phil Croninger. Absolutely. Hey there, boy. There we go. A little leakage there, brother. Okay, that's good. That's better. Then you started sucking. All right.
Oh, boy.
Before we get on to the rest of the show, Goat, Jester, I will need a shot of beautiful loud Goat. You all right, bud? That was light beer, right?
Yep. It was a cold guy.
Was it real cold?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I need a poster model. If you don't mind holding up what we have to offer here. If you go right now to ChadDukesShow.com, you yourself, you might want to hold up on the other side. Yeah, there you go. Perfect. You can pick yourself up a signed event poster for this very show. Make it show, all original artwork, signed by Loud Goat, King Dingaling, America's Wigwam, and myself.
And don't let that stop you from getting one.
Of course, it'll drive down the value from the piece of paper it was on. But they're quite sharp, so if you would like one, you can go to... No, excuse me. It's CommonwealthDryGoods.com. They're on the store website. I apologize.
Excellent.
What a professional pitchman I am. CommonwealthDryGoods.com if you'd like to pick one up. And thank you, Loud Goat. Appreciate that. All right. Who would like to go first, boys?
Shall we go in order?
Do we want to go in chronological episode order?
That's a good idea,
Oh,
actually.
good
Let's do that.
Good. I'll be fucking hammered by the time we get to Ivor. Strap in, Tor. We
I
got fucking 45 minutes. We're going
My
minute for
episode
minute.
shits on your episode in his fucking mouth. Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
Oh, boy.
So my episode was Season 1's Conspiracy. It was
Love that.
Season 1, Episode 25, and the brief, incredibly vague summary. After Captain Picard receives a dark warning from an old friend, the Enterprise returns to Earth to stop an alien invasion from taking over Starfleet Command.
I hate that. Tor recorded himself leaving a dark warning for the audience, actually, earlier on in the... if you listened to the Chad Duke show today. Very, very tough. Yeah, that really doesn't let you know what the horror you're in for, does
it
it?
just sort of sets the stage for it. I guess it's nice to have a spoiler-free synopsis, but...
This could have been a movie. It really could have.
really
like,
could have,
if
yeah.
they wanted to kind of expand on the tendrils of infiltration that this alien race had in the Federation.
Well, and it's been a while since I've watched it all the way through, especially without commercials. And so as I was watching it, and I was like, wait, how much time is left in this? Oh, there's only like 15 minutes left.
Yeah.
They're going to wrap this up pretty quickly. I feel like it could have unfolded a lot more as
Once
it went
Picard
on.
gets to Earth, the shit starts popping
Yeah.
off like real quick.
Yeah, it's basically the Enterprise receives a Code 47 message, which is the highest of security for the captain's eyes only. And it's an old friend of his who tells him that, in very vague terms, that something's brewing.
Can I do an impression real quick?
Yes.
Walker. Thank you.
Nice. Nice.
Thank you, Daddy.
And he speaks very ominously, and the score in this episode, I'd like to point out, sets the very, very dark and ominous tone.
Oh, yes.
Right from that opening moment, where it's very like low kind of horror movie sound. Like it very much feels like a horror episode as opposed to dramatic adventure. Like most of Star Trek The Next Generation has some either heartfelt moments or it's adventure action. This one is very much doomy and gloomy. It's very, you're kind of, what's going on?
Who's the journeyman horror movie actor with the fucked up face?
Michael Berryman.
Okay, I knew
he'd know
the
the
two
name.
would know. I love that guy.
Captain Ricks.
He's
is
in The
his
Hills Have
character.
Eyes
Yep,
too, right?
Yeah,
He-
that's
he's-
his most famous movie.
He's in everything. And when he showed up, I was like, I know who you are, you silly goose. He had the ridge in the middle of his face.
Apparently, he also has a bit crew member part in Star Trek 4, The Voyage Home.
Have you, either one of you, gone down the rabbit hole of how many different actors have played different roles in Star Trek over the history of the whole deal?
I think you could spend weeks.
Pulaski was in the original series.
Yes.
That's why it's so crazy.
really?
But there's one cat, he plays one of the Cardassians. He's been like 17 different characters in Star Trek, including like a dozen in The Next Generation. And then Candyman is Worf's brother. He's a couple different characters
okay.
in the TNG as well. I used to know his name. Tony
Tony Todd.
Tony Todd. that's
Also in
what it-
Final Destination.
Yeah, he's got that the deep voice.
He's incredible.
He's really good, and he's he plays Kern, Worf's brother. I get
It's
mad.
kind of
fucking
perfect for a
awesome.
Klingon.
Butt-sized for Kern.
Fucking awesome. In
We
that
will
episode.
see them tomorrow in battle, brother. He's trying to get Worf to drink with the guys they're killing in the fucking insurrection. Bah! And I'm always like, God, I love to drink with these fucking guys. They're stabbing each other and fucking hitting each other with batlets. Drinks like this. You'd love it.
I can get on board with that.
I'm gonna get you that episode, Tori.
I feel like that's almost happened in here during a hoot at some point,
Well,
right?
first of all, they have that, whatever that Klingon beer is. I swear to God, they don't ever have to take a drink because they're always throwing the chalices and dumping it on the floor.
They're just absorbing it all through their pores.
Fucking fantastic. I'm sorry. You were saying? Good?
No, it's perfectly all right. But it's very much a horror movie kind of episode. And it turns out that the conspiracy goes all the way to the top of Starfleet Command, and it's actually a race of parasitic insects that have taken over
Hideous.
Different members of Starfleet. Mostly, it seems like it might be confined to the people that we see on screen, but there's hints that it could be a much wider conspiracy. And Picard ends up going down to get to the bottom of things. And in the end, in true, again, spoiler alert, they end up sorting out the menace and ending it and cutting it off at the head. Or do they?
Right before. What's funny is they have this big cliffhanger and they never revisit any of those things ever again.
There are a lot of theories about why that happened and whether they had pivoted into them being kind of the heralds of the Borg.
Well, how would that be? They're like little starfish, cockroach-looking things.
Yeah, that they were sort of the precursors to the Borg. That they were intended to be the series' big bad.
Oh, okay.
But budget kind of prevented them from being able to do the stop motion and the CGI to that level. So
well, the Borg look way better than those little creatures.
Yeah, because it's a lot more easy. It's a lot easier to put old nuts and bolts on people and make spare parts into cyborg people.
I guess it's the whole thing stopped. Of course, Riker almost had to eat mealworms, so that's where also one of my favorite weapons in Star Trek utilized in this one. They don't utilize it enough. The fucking key fob phaser, the one that's only about 2 inches long. Riker has one of those that apparently looks as powerful as the rifles and the handheld phasers. I'm like, just give everybody one of those. Seems very effective, but it's a good episode, and they have a bunch of dramatic shit that happens, like the whistleblower guy, the Admiral Walker. He gets killed almost immediately after he warns Picard what's going on, and they don't know whether to believe it or if these guys are going crazy. And then you have the advent of finding out they have the little valve coming out of the back of their neck, so the creature that's taken over them can breathe.
The little gill sticking out. Yeah, it's very amazing and jarring when you first see these things.
But it's also way more. I think you said it's horrifying. It's more of as close as they got. There's another episode where they're having nightmares and waking up and everybody's screaming.
I love that episode.
The one where they're turning back into animals, where fucking Troy's a fish and Worf is like a big rhinoceros. That's pretty scary. But this is the closest I think they got to doing a horror-based episode.
Yeah, and it kind of set the tone. I think, like I mentioned, it definitely is a left turn for the series, because up until then, it also gives Picard a chance to be more of a man of action in this one. He really gets to the bottom of it. He says, no, I'm taking control of this. I'm the captain. I'm going down to get to the bottom of this. And up until then, I think there may have even been a perception among fans that he was more of a cerebral captain, as opposed, especially in contrast to the firebrand that Captain Kirk was in the original series.
And there's a great moment in this episode to kind of support that realization, Goat, when he has a great line. He says, "Friendship must dare to risk, or it's not friendship." And I think that really sets what his actions throughout the rest of the show, especially working with people like Data, and even into the movies. That I thought that was a fucking great line. I wrote that one down. It humanizes him probably more than anything else in season one.
I don't like Picard in season one because I think that the specter of Kirk is still there, because Kirk walks into a room like those Night at the Roxbury guys. He's like, and then Picard to me was always an adult, and he always acted like a captain would, and Riker kind of took that role and was always kind of protecting Picard. So Picard doesn't feel like himself to me until season 3, when he becomes probably my favorite. Him and Fraser Crane are probably my two favorite. I like bald men. My favorite characters outside of Boss Hogg, who is fucking bald. What is that all about?
Oh my god.
I don't like the way Picard is in season 1 for the most part, but it is interesting to go back and watch him. He's the guy that'll jump over the fucking console in the back, and he wants to mix it up, and he kind of seems like he's not himself at this point.
Throwing those hammer fists just like Kirk was.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think Picard, none of the hand-to-hand combat is going to blow you away in any of these fucking shows.
Yeah, not so much.
The scene, though, the fight scene where the old Admiral kicks the shit out of Riker.
Yeah.
Awesome.
My wife is sitting there watching that with me, and she goes, "Is this real?" Like, Ripley, all right? She just laid down on all the cords. The whole TV shook.
Yeah, I'm looking at it over there.
It's the boss. She's like, "Is this a real fight scene? Or are they play fighting?" I'm like, "No, this is as real as it gets."
I think when they go wide, you can clearly see the stunt doubles.
Oh, yeah,
But there's a couple wheel kicks in there. There's a great jumping front kick. It's a lot of great stuff in there, yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, Worf gets his fucking bell rung again immediately because he's Worf.
I mean, at least he didn't get thrown through the door like poor Geordi.
A lot of people say you need to talk into the mic, Dottie. Also, Headlock Gaming is in the stream. Thank you for joining
turn
us.
me up
Alec.
a
We
little bit?
appreciate that. Yeah, that too.
I have been down.
He won't do it.
you.
That's not just your mood. The part at the end where they blow the guy open and he's got the fucking big worm living inside of him.
Yeah.
What's a big worm? It's so gross. And he fucking, I guess they kill the one worm and that kills all the other drones.
Yeah, so it's the queen, basically.
Okay.
Yeah.
But then how is it still, because at the end of the show, so there's other queens then, I guess.
Theoretically. See, that's where you don't know really where that message went, who it was for, whether it was a homing beacon, whether it was hey, they've figured us out, don't come, like everybody stay away.
Yeah.
Because they make claims during the episode, they go like, oh, we're very patient. And truth be told, if they were more patient, they probably could have gotten away with it. But they really made, like, all of their plans were laid bare when Picard shows up and Starfleet Command is basically empty.
Yeah.
It's just these three people sitting in a conference room, and it's kind of like, well, something's clearly up here. So I feel like either they were hoping that this would be the start of Endgame for them, or it's just this was their last chance at it.
The plan was, let's serve Picard mealworms and then let's allow him to leave. Because remember, Riker comes in and it's all a ruse. So I guess technically Picard would have just walked right out of that room and then calmly beamed back up to
it
the
hadn't been
Enterprise.
him, yeah.
They just didn't have a very good plan of whatever they were going to do in that moment.
Yeah, I feel like they might have lost their incredibly strategic advantage at that point. Yeah.
Tor, what did you think? You said this was your favorite of the four, correct?
I believe this was my favorite, just because it had the most Dinjin in it.
Dinjin. I don't know why there has to be so much Dinjin.
But it was, it seemed like it had the highest stakes, even though yours
Do you have
had
any steaks, by the way? I'm fucking starving.
I would love one right
fresh
now.
out.
Damn it.
Even though I think yours had a good amount of stakes in it also.
A lot of steak.
It was my favorite simply because, you're like, okay, here's the big bad government. This is something this is a trope I'm very familiar with. Conspiracy up high. All right, now Picard's going to go. And I also like Picard getting the private message in his room. For whatever reason, you could just beam right into his
Let me tell you something.
How you doing? I'm in my sexy ass robe.
Anytime you get Picard in his sleepwear, I get steamed up.
I mean, when he's in that vacation wear on that.
Oh, and he's sitting there with just his dick hanging out. As he's
little bit of
his
chest
book.
hair coming
He's
out.
a big fan of the deep V.
He really is.
Yeah,
Well, he
he
likes
is.
an open silk short sleeve shirt and tiny silk biker shorts. And you know what? I like that too.
It's fucking awesome.
I never really understood the sleepwear because, like, Troy goes to bed in like a full evening gown. Like she's always
Right.
like, but they always sex her up. And then I never really understood when it was appropriate for Picard to wear the gray top with the
Right.
big velour jacket because that almost seems like a more casual look.
He's wearing that in Borg.
He wears it.
But it's like his undershirt in Iborg,
Yeah.
I think. Yeah.
When he goes down, do you remember Shaka, his arms wide? When he goes down onto the planet, when he's with that
Yeah.
guy he doesn't understand, he's taking the jacket off for like to use
Like
as a blanket.
mobility or- yeah.
So he's just running around in his gray uniform, and he's the only guy you see wearing a gray uniform the entire time.
Yeah, it's almost like his all-terrain gear.
Even ship captains have laundry day, man.
I
Just gotta
get
be
it, but like, I guess he's the only one allowed to wear it, and it's not casual. I guess it must be treated as formal as well.
Another jarring thing about season 1 episode: smooth-faced Riker.
We were talking about that on the
Yeah.
show today. I think he shaves it in was it Insurrection? He shaves his face in one of the movies, and he's about
Interesting.
15 heavier, maybe 20.
He directed that one.
He directed First
Okay,
Contact.
I thought he did one other one as well.
He might have, but First
I think he
Contact
did
is the
this
best one,
Yeah,
and he
First
directed
Contact.
it.
And
so.
they called him 2 takes Frakes.
Yeah.
That's all he needed.
And apparently he grew the beard just personally between seasons 1 and 2. And when they came back, he was going to shave and they were like, no, keep it.
He looks
'cause
so
it's
much better.
So much better. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a couple of guys that I was reading about that are in the show that read for his part, and didn't get it. And I was just thinking, of all the people in this show, like if somebody else was Riker, that'd be really fucking jarring. Yeah, it's a good episode. I liked it, and it was a little out of character.
And there was one other thing that I did like. It seeing was it Remick?
Yes,
as the final boss, quote unquote, and also Admiral Quinn. Those two guys were in a previous episode where Remick had shown up on the Enterprise to investigate Captain Picard's ability to lead, or whether he was, truly loyal to Starfleet. So having those two episodes kind of put together, it kind of shed some light on his actual ulterior motives in that previous episode.
There's an episode where there is a Klingon on the ship that is sending information to the Romulans, and they send this shrew of a woman that conducts this whole witch trial, and it goes from investigating this Klingon to eventually Picard is being put on trial.
Yeah.
And they're listing how many times he broke the fucking Prime Directive, and you were a Borg, weren't you? She's such a bitch.
Yeah.
And it's always weird when they take that angle with Picard, because he always seems like he's, beyond reproach the entire series.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's if anything, I guess it's to make sure that he seems vulnerable as well. So you're always rooting for him to overcome the odds.
And it's effective when that happens, because I get really fucking uncomfortable when there are episodes when he's put on the spotlight.
I don't like it.
It bothers me.
I don't like it when he's injured, too, and his life is on the line, and the only person that can save him is Wesley fucking Crusher. I don't like that.
Down in
I
that
don't
pit.
like that. And that fucking,
just-
where's the water? And the Wesley can't get to the water. I'm like, you fucking mope. Where's Worf when you need him? I also like that episode where their memories get erased, and Worf immediately says, "I'm the captain," and he sits down and starts ordering everybody the fuck around. Mine was, I guess, next, because I'm at season 3. It was called Yesterday's Enterprise, episode 15. This is, to me, right around when the show really starts to find its stride, is midway through season 3. I loved, you guys know, what is it? The Mirrorverse, the Mirror Universe, or whatever.
Mirror Mirror, I think, is the first Star Trek episode with that concept.
But the original Star Trek. And,
Yeah.
and then it's, there's another universe, and the people in this universe are like us, but they're evil.
It's just different enough.
I love that shit. I love it. I always love when there's oh, we've got a doppelganger, but this guy's bad,
Usually they have a mustache and a goatee.
I dig it. This is an episode about how there's some sort of space phenomena. They're all sitting there on the Enterprise, and another Enterprise comes through the fucking wormhole. It just happens to be the NCC 1701C, which is the model before the D, which is what we're riding around in during TNG. And that ship was thought to have been destroyed defending a Klingon outpost against Romulan invaders, which was a very pivotal point in history, because that led to the union between the Klingons and the Federation, which we're enjoying during the Next Generation. Well, that ship shows up, and everything changes, and we go from being the happy-go-lucky, we're out on a space exploration, to this is a battle bridge, and we are at war with the Klingons, and everyone's uniform changes, and Tasha Yar is back alive, and she's the head of security, and Worf is gone because Worf can't be in there. You're at
Klingons
war
aren't
with the
friends.
no
Yeah, right.
Troy, no Wesley.
Yeah, nobody.
No Geordi.
They get rid
Oh
of.
no, they do have Wesley, but no
Geordi.
Geordi.
I don't think
don't
Geordi's
think
there
he's in
either.
there.
But I love episodes like that. I actually like the lighting of this episode better than normal Star Trek. I like the uniforms better. Everyone looks more serious. They're wearing their phasers on their belt on the bridge to let you know you fucking mean business. And the episode basically is them deciding what to do with the Enterprise C, whether they should fix it up because they're fighting the Klingons. Only Guinan, who of course is played by Whoopi Goldberg, whose powers we don't really understand. I don't really ever think I ever do. We know that her people were wiped out by the Borg, and she's got a very old relationship with Picard, and that's pretty much it. She tends bar. She knows something's wrong. She knows the second everything changes, she realizes that it's off. Nobody else does. So the entire episode basically is based on her going to Picard and saying, shit's fucked up. You have to send that shit back to die. Because the second they go back to the breach, they're going to be destroyed by Romulans as they need to be. So,
Speaking of a moral conundrum, yes.
well, it's Picard. They need the ship because they're about, and ultimately Picard is willing to sacrifice not only himself but his entire crew based on nothing but what Guinan says.
Yeah.
So for part of me when I'm watching this episode, I'm like, God damn it! I wish they really, because Whoopi Goldberg's not in every season, so you don't see her the whole time. We never really get to the bottom. I think they explored it in some books, but we never get to the bottom of what that relationship is all about. They hint at it, and they poke at it. They give you little bits of information. But for him to be willing to do that in the middle of this war is like beyond any other, choice that you could possibly make. And ultimately, Tasha Yar who is Guinan straight tells her, you're supposed to be dead. You're not supposed to be here. And then she hops on the fucking ship and goes back with them.
And even more so, she tells her that your death was a meaningless death.
Well, in 2 seasons later, Tasha Yar comes back as a goddamn Romulan, and you find out because Picard put her on the ship and sent her through, she's like now a huge villain in the her daughter is in the universe.
That's redemption, right? When she comes back. Yeah.
Well, she comes back a couple times.
I think that's the first time we meet her, though.
Redemption is the one with Spock. I think. What's that one where Sarek dies and he has to go find Spock?
Oh, maybe that is redemption. I don't know.
Well, she pops up.
Is there more whiskey?
They're trying to fuck. This is neither here nor there.
Here we go.
She thought she was gonna. She thought she was David Caruso and fucking.
Oh yeah, she made, and it was early. Like the fact that it was in the middle of season 1 where she decides, I'm not coming back to do this anymore. Kill my character off, and I think they killed her character off out of spite, as opposed to just assigning her off the ship. And she had her, tearful goodbye. And then, she made like an episode of Red Shoe Diaries, and that was the end of it.
That's a weird-ass episode,
It really is. The one they kill her off in?
The oil monster.
The big oil monster. It's horrible. You were talking about horrible special effects.
Yeah, no shit.
I love this episode. I like the vibe of it. I like the moral dilemma. There's a lot of action in this episode. The Shooter McGavin.
Before he was Shooter McGavin.
He's the first officer. He gets to tax Tasha Yar, as we assume that he does.
Unfair or not, it's hard to see him and not go, hey, Shooter McGavin.
Yeah, he's serious in this, which is kind of weird to see.
And he's supposed to be, and he's sympathetic as well. Like, he's a character you're rooting for, and he, just that actor, who's, unfortunately, his name escapes me, but
Christopher McDonald.
He does not play sympathetic characters very often.
No.
He generally plays the bad guy.
Yeah, Tori's still chuckling about the fact that Shooter McGavin.
I didn't want to be the one to bring it up. I didn't know how rude.
You barely can keep it in your fucking pants. It's also a really great final scene where Picard is alone as the Enterprise is crumbling, holding off the fucking Klingons as the sea goes back through, and then
and Geordi is in it because he's down. He's talking about the warp core breach.
Okay,
that's why I remember, because everything is falling apart piece by piece on the Enterprise D, and it's just going to hell in a handbasket.
Oh, and he's the one that goes, "Whoever knows if we're alive or dead." And that's when Tasha Yar kind of like figures out that she's not going to be around. But it's I love the idea of him having to go to his fucking crew and say, look, they're time travelers and we're sending them back to die because my friend says we need to. Like, that to me is such a wild thing to try to actually picture happening. I love this episode.
I appreciate that they didn't ever fully reveal everything about Guinan's character.
Right.
I like that there was an air of mystery because you just kind of trusted that when she said something, when she came up with an idea, she meant it. It was sincere, and it was from a place where we were supposed to trust it. I think if you explain what her whole deal was at that point, it kind of makes you go, okay, well, maybe this is just kind of cheapening. But it gives it some weight when she comes through, because she's also not always guiding these huge decisions. She's usually just there as counsel. Sort of, she's doing the bartender bit where she's listening and offering advice. But in this instance, she's coming up and saying, like, no, this is it. She's the impetus for basically everything that happens in the episode.
Yeah.
As far as getting things back to normal. And
she's a great character. I mean, it's just a fabulous fucking character. She's like real understated, and I think Whoopi Goldberg does a great job of portraying that character. Mm-hmm. And sometimes she's just kind of like like when early on when Rose on the ship, she's just kind of nurturing and like helping. But every once in a while, she's like, I've never asked you of anything. You fucking, I'm capable of it. My background is, I'm telling you this isn't right, and all you have is my word. And like, you see like the weight that carries with Picard. It's a good moment.
And this episode, I think, does a great job of when you say goat, it doesn't fully explain, but if you watch it, I think it gives you the best idea of what Guinan is. Like, I think you understand, or at least when I watched this episode for the first time, I understood her much better than I did for the last season and a half when she was introduced, and I think it does a great job there. I mean, you get some background, and I think it's Deja Q, the episode where the Borg is introduced in season 2.
Well, she's straight up going to attack Q in one episode.
Yeah,
she does one of these.
Yeah,
and
they
I'm
have
like,
a long-standing beef.
Yeah,
I'm like, what type of powers do you have that you're going to fight Q? You know, who's a god that can change everything. So
there's clearly more under the surface there. So,
but if also she could fight Q, why couldn't she stop the Borg?
That's a Great question.
Well, we'll get to Dotson's episode. She plays kind of an interesting pivotal role in that too.
I mean, this episode had a lot of great stuff in it. I mean, for one thing, who knew prune juice was a warrior's drink?
That's such a great scene.
It's so great.
Where he's scoffing at having sex with the fucking human girl because he was just, they could not withstand me. Fucking Worf is a 10 at the beginning of that
and
episode.
he has that full teeth showing laugh when she suggests there are women on the ship who might find you tame.
I guarantee you there is a gif of that on Twitter right now if you search Worf.
Absolutely. I also appreciate the briefing where Picard goes, "We're doing this," and Riker goes, "Well, if I can offer my opinion," he goes, "I know your opinion. This is a briefing.
They're not getting along.
Get out."
That Riker and that Picard, they don't seem to be on the same page a lot of times.
I love the detail that the Ready Room, instead of like the models and art that he has in the, I guess, the D universe, it's like battle maps and stuff on the wall. I think
they're getting pwned.
That's a
if
great.
you look at it, it's all fucking Klingon emblems all around them.
It's a great detail. Just like changing the lighting instead of just little things like changing the lighting, like you said, having the phasers on their belt instead of like Goat mentioned in like Mirror Universe episodes, changing facial hair or colors of the uniform, things like that. I think this is just like a great choice to make it different without like silly.
There's this Mirror episode. Comic book that I've read where Barclay they have a big fight between the Mirror Universe and the real one, and they expunge them back to their own universe, and Barclay stays behind, and he's like hog-tied real Barclay, and he's like systematically taking over the ship because he's just an evil fuck. I don't know,
because he's his polar opposite, where Barclay's very demure and
but the way that the Mirror Enterprise, the way you get promoted is you kill the officer that's in front of you.
I think that's established in earlier Star Treks, yes, where you challenge by combat for rank.
It's the best.
I'm glad that Denise Crosby gets to come back for this episode and reprise as Tasha Yar, because they've figured out what the show is by this point, so she really gets to act. Because there's, season 1 is just so clunky at times, and they don't really know what they're doing, and I think she really brings her A game in this episode, and is probably the best part of it for me.
An embarrassing episode where there's that planet that has the vaccine, and like the men aren't allowed to own real estate, and she's just like flipping around on those monkey bars. I'm like, oh, this is awful.
Well, the kidnapping, right? He's just like, thank you, and then they go away.
And then in Picard, they zoom in on his face, red alert, and then he just sits there for a while, like, wouldn't you be doing more right now?
Also, can't you home in on her communicator and just zap her back from nowhere? Like, isn't this the only thing that really bugged me, about this episode is like, could you throttle up the Enterprise C just a little bit more and make it into the wormhole before you all get, everybody else is getting shot to shit and it's just moving right along. Like, come on, Grandma, push the lever up a little bit
wasn't
more.
it all fucked up? I mean, they barely got it ready to go.
The shields and all the weapons were broken.
All fucked up.
That's a technical Starfleet term, actually.
Agreed. What did you think, Tor?
I like the pacing of this episode a lot. I felt like a lot was happening in every scene, which I enjoyed. But I disagree with you, Goat. I wish I knew more about Guinan through this, because as soon as we saw the lights change and shit change, and she had that look on her face, like, oh, this isn't right. I'm like, why is this not right, and why are you saying this isn't right?
I can see where you'd say that if you had no other familiarity with Guinan's character.
Right.
Like, as this episode standing alone, if this was your introduction to that character, I can see you just being like, what? So if you had a little more context to what she had offered as far as advice and what she had done before, especially with the face-off with Q, where she's got a little more weight to her opinion. I can see what you're saying.
We don't know where it comes from. I mean, he's right about that. Like, we never find out.
But it's understood, I think, before this episode.
Sure, it'd be like, why is Deanna able to tell how this person's upset? If you just beamed in on one episode.
Yeah.
I suppose.
But that's all. Yeah.
I'm with you. I wish they would have peeled the Band-Aid off by the end of the fucking show, which they don't.
Okay.
Although I do believe she shows up in Picard season 2,
Apparently,
right?
there's a little bit more exploration into her and what she can do.
Do they fuck?
I have not gotten there.
I haven't gotten there yet either.
Not sure.
I'm ready.
Picard and Guinan fuck?
That was my speculation.
I'd be
pre-show.
staying
The fuck am I paying $9.99 a month for?
I want to see that. Paramount Plus my ass.
But no, I can see where if you're coming in blind, that's definitely a confusing thing more than it is sort of an understood aspect of her character.
Right, because I understood that I watched Dukes' episode second after mine, and then I'm like, okay, so she's in the show, but I was still trying to figure it out. Like, okay, so she's got some type of shit in her where she could tell
Shit in her.
that
Don't we all?
Yeah. Whenever you ask
Some more than others.
what he's going to do on his first date with his new chick, you go, that's what he responds. That's how he responds. Shit in her.
Glad Lost is back. Fucking megaphone laugh in the building. Awesome.
He ain't wrong.
Not even on.
No, not even on. It's better than Joe. Joe's back there laughing like M. Bison in the first round. Where he's like, that's an obscure reference. He beat him the first time. He can't go all the way in. Then eventually he gets it.
So Wesley is a full member of Starfleet in this.
They go
other
back and
universe as well?
forth on that shit.
Well, in the
by
alternate
way.
universe, he totally is.
Yeah. Enough of him. Enough with Wesley Crusher.
Huge bummer. So, episode trivia. This was part of a DVD collection, the best of Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Oh, really? It should be.
Along with both part 1 and part 2 of Best of Both Worlds and The Measure of a Man, which is the episode from season 2 where Picard has to defend Data on trial, which was a very, very close second to me picking Iborg.
Yeah, I can see
Ultimately bailed because I didn't want to bitch about Pulaski for too long.
No.
But an amazing episode as well.
Do you guys know what the highest rated? I sent you actually a clip of it. The highest rated episode of this show, according to I think it's Metacritic. I think is the ones that do reviews of all of them. The highest rated Star Trek series is TNG.
Yes.
As a collective. I think it's called Inner Light. It's the one where Picard lives an entire lifetime.
Oh,
And they find that like reliquary. I don't watch that one anymore. Like that one fucks me up so bad when I watch it, especially at the end when he's playing the little flute.
Yeah.
I can't even take listening to that goddamn song. But I was the Reverend Peyton messaged me and he said, "Man, I cried just for 3 days after I see that episode."
Family.
The man has a big heart.
He really does. He got big everything.
Family in season 4 fucks me up too. When it's right after he's gotten out of the Borg. And
He goes back with
goes
his
back
brother.
to the vineyard, and
His brother's a cock.
he has but they have like
he's,
the fight.
bitter.
And he has the
Yeah,
breakdown.
the mud fight.
He's just the best actor in the fucking world.
Yeah, he's the best. I just don't want to see Picard ever uncomfortable. I just want him to be in that suit, looking great, Earl Grey tea. I want
Well,
the whole
nobody
thing.
will mess with you like your family, though.
This
So
episode was also directed by David Carson, who directed Star Trek Generations. So some overlap there. You're not into Generations as much as I am.
It's not
Goat,
very good.
where do you stand on it?
it's all right.
It's all right.
I like it a lot.
Tor?
Oh, that's right.
I feel like Generations is like all the Spider-Man movies where they keep putting fucking other Marvel characters in with it. Like, I don't think they needed Kirk for that movie to stand by
It was
itself.
there to be the crossover. Like, that was
Yeah.
the reason they made the movie, as opposed to having him be in it to make the movie better. It was,
Right.
well, we need to do something where we bridge the gap between these two generations. Ha. Let's make a movie called Generations.
Yeah.
By the way, Kirk's in it, everybody. So
Was not the biggest fan of that one. But none of them are. I mean, First Contact I think is clearly the best one, and I like Nemesis, and the rest of them are not that great, which is kind of disappointing considering like how great the series was.
Insurrection is really just an hour and 40-minute long episode.
Yeah, it could have very easily been one episode with the stretchy face guys.
Yeah. Embarrassing makeup in that one.
Are we done with that one? Everybody got everything they needed to say?
I feel like
Feel good? The next episode is Tours, which is called Clues, which is a data-centric episode.
I would classify it as that. It was season 4, episode 14, where the crew is traveling on their voyage. It opens with them kind of puttering about.
As they do.
I like that.
Picard is doing a noir detective simulator, I guess.
yeah.
they got a little bit of R&R coming up. Yeah.
Yeah.
She's got nothing to do with this, Johnny. That's a really great line. Guinan, by the way, featured in that episode.
Yeah, so I'm like, okay.
Wearing some garters, by the way.
So I was like,
It took me 3 hours to figure out how to put on these. You don't know the name of his detective fucking moniker.
I do not know.
His nickname is Dix.
It's
Don't worry about it.
it's blanking on me.
Don't
but-
worry. When you watch the rest of the series, you'll be able to figure it out.
So,
So
There's whole episodes of him doing that, by the way.
yeah.
Just like there's whole episodes
Yeah.
of Data being Sherlock Holmes.
So that's actually one of the things I don't mean to completely derail your synopsis, but one of the things I like about this episode is they start you off thinking it's going to be another completely enclosed in the holodeck episode, because there are a few of those where
I like those.
It just gives, I guess the writers got tired of writing stuff to happen in space, so they went, hey, we can just write whatever we want. The holodeck's right here.
Right.
So at one point, Q turns them into Robin Hood and his merry men.
Yeah.
And it's fabulous.
Oh, it's so great.
Captain, I must protest.
It's a great one.
of the best drops ever.
Geordi's trying to play the lute, and Worf just picks it up and very fucking
Animal
Pluto
House
style,
style.
just smashes it on the ground.
So they send you down that path for a little bit and then take that left turn, which I also love because Data makes the phone call on the phone in the holodeck.
I feel like this was the most appropriate way.
Data
Fucking
didn't
hilarious.
want to break kayfabe, so he called on the phone. I was
Data
like,
loves-
this is so great.
I mean, Data's always acting. Like, he's always
Yeah.
in plays and shit and fucking...
I mean, some would say he is always acting. So there's that. But yeah, I love the fact that he was very respectful of the illusion at that point. So,
All right.
but anyway,
It's your episode, Tor.
Yeah, so they were they're doing their bits in the holodeck, I guess.
Skits and bits.
Yes, and then they get an urgent call saying, "Hey, we got a situation up here. There's a wormhole." So I guess
Always a wormhole.
there's so many wormholes. They're just all over. The
Everywhere.
world's lousy with them.
So they go through. They decide, all right, we got to figure out what we're doing here. But we have a planet that could have life, and they're explorers, and they are not conquerors. They're like, okay, we got to explore this, figure out what's going on here. They end up going through the wormhole, which ended up being a fake wormhole, and they are all knocked out for what they thought was 30 seconds. Ended up being a full day, and the only one knocked out was Data. So he had to
Cheat code.
He had to get everybody else up to speed, but something was a little bit fishy.
Deanna Troy.
Well, she was having some
Beverly
issues.
Crusher?
Yeah. It's Beverly Crusher. Her
Moss screw.
moss screw.
She needs her moss fucking trimmed, if you know what I mean.
In a day. Jesus
Thirsty
Christ.
for Picard. Now, doctor. That's one of my favorite lines. I think it's in season 2. They're all lusting after each other because they had that thing on the bridge is making everybody feel like they're drunk. And Beverly's just all on Picard's dick. And he goes, no, doctor. I have another quick impression. You ready?
Yeah.
The plan has failed.
That's from this episode. If you haven't watched this episode, that's not going to make a lot of sense.
Awesome.
So they end up figuring out it's not a. They weren't only out for 30 seconds. It was a day. Picard's interrogating Data about what the fuck happened. Data has not given it up, so they have to question his integrity and why won't he tell them, because he seems to be an android that's all for the ship. But if you can't trust him, you got to send him off the ship.
It's a great mystery episode.
Yeah.
Like, and the whole episode is about how humans have to solve a mystery. But
no, I heard earlier today that, that someone is not a fan of solving
no, I don't
mysteries.
fucking want to solve it. Tell me what's going on right now. I need to know.
So you do not share Captain Picard's love of mysteries.
No, I would have let the fucking buoy go down back to the fucking phenomenon. We'd be going to Ryza to fuck chicks. But I do the fact that I know that 43 minutes it's all going to be buttoned up. My wife was bitter at the one episode we were watching. She's like, "Well, I don't understand what's going on." I'm like, "Wait, 10 minutes.
It's all going to be okay.
It's all wrapped up."
How are they going to get out of this? You'll see.
It was fun to watch, knowing what happened, because I remember this episode.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorites. It's kind of fun to watch Data tap dancing over the hot coals, trying
Absolutely.
to save them from themselves.
Yeah, it really does kind of, again, knowing how it turns out, like his try hard at the very beginning, at like, oh, no, let's not go back to that planet. No, send a probe. That'll be just fine. He's just steering them all in the right direction. He's immediately suspicious, and you're kind of like, oh, there's something going on here.
Also, Data's the best, and so like whenever Data's kind of like the centerpiece of things, like there's one called Data's Day where like nothing happens and it's just Data like
It's like his point of view, yeah. If he was the main character of the show.
like I'd watch whatever this
fucking
is.
great,
If this is a sitcom, I don't know.
Well, this is a great episode for the relationship between Picard and Data, because I really like when they're all in the reading room and without Data, and everyone else is accusing Data of keeping secrets, and Picard is the one saying, "Hang on, wait a second, maybe
there's a reason.
Maybe
Yeah.
there's a reason. Maybe something happened to him. Maybe he doesn't realize." And I think that's just like super impactful when everyone else is feeling one way and Picard is the only one to be defending him. And then later on, when he is basically telling Data, "You're going to be court-martialed and all of this bad
potentially
shit is,
deactivated."
he said all of this bad shit is going to be happening to you. He's not threatening him.
Yeah,
He's telling him
just
like
telling him.
he's worried, like, "Data, this is going
He's
to
like,
happen, and
you-
I'm scared that it's
You
going
know
to
the
happen for
risks
you."
of what you're doing, right? Yeah.
It's a great episode for the two of them, and I think the two of them is a huge part of the show overall.
And it also, the odd part about you saying that is, and I thought this watching it, and this is a big spoiler, Tor, and I apologize, but ultimately the end of this whole thing is Picard sends Data to his death. He has to go aboard this ship that's going to destroy the Enterprise, and Data dies. And it's horrible. It's really, I remember being really, really upset when it happened. But But Dottie's right. Like, Picard and Data there's a couple of times when Picard's like, we're all going to die, and I need you to do this. Like, they have these humongous moments as Data's trying to grasp humanity, and, like, eventually Picard says something like, you're the best, like, one of the best humans I've ever known. And they have, like, a very, very unique relationship.
And we all start just fucking sobbing.
Yeah, I mean, there's 4 or 5 episodes where it fucks me all up, and then I got to stay downstairs until the chick falls asleep. But you're right. This was like, this kind of is, we were talking about when he was talking with Guinan about how much he trusts Guinan. Like, in this episode, when Data's like, they know Data's not being honest, but he's not saying, let's rip him apart and figure out why he's lying and fucking lock him in the brig. It's like, wait a minute, hold on. Why would Data do this? Like, something must have happened. So yeah, it's a very big moment.
It's really special.
It was like an itch that you just needed to scratch the whole time, because you're like, all right, Data, come on, let's get it out, and he started using closer language to what he was trying to get closer to, like, I'm not allowed to tell you why.
Yeah.
And then you get because you told me to, and you're like, okay, let's get this party started then. Figure out what the fuck happened.
Did you like the reveal at the end? Did you like what actually happened?
I liked it because it was something I really wasn't expecting. I didn't expect energy beings to be able to go and just take over folks and start talking in a deep voice. But the analyzation,
No, we must destroy your ship.
I don't like that people know we're here.
Yeah, I don't think you can, weird voice. Get the fuck out of the smoke show and we'll be on our way. Beat it.
Why does she have camel toe and the rest of you get to wear nice normal uniforms?
Hey.
I said, and Data goes, they're xenophobes. They don't like visitors.
Don't ruin our fun.
Stuff fixes something that ain't broke. Get out of here.
Troy's handing it out left and right to every fucking alien that comes along.
Oh, no.
She hands it out a lot in that show.
I was looking forward to hearing how butt-sized Tor was going to be about Deanna Troi.
Your episode, I got some feelings for.
There's an episode where they go to this junkyard and there's this freak show alien, and he's like, I bet they think I'll tell you anything because I don't get to see a lot of handsome women. And then she just kind of looks at him and he goes, you're right. And then just tells her everything. I actually think she's hotter when they actually put her in like the actual straightforward, like,
the Starfleet
medical uniform.
Yeah.
You know, the same one that Beverly wears. Poor Beverly. She's an attractive older broad.
Good-looking lady.
You know?
Yeah.
Well, Marina Sirtis has to fuck everything up. Marinina. What is her name?
Marina.
Oh, whatever, dude. That's where you park.
Marinara.
That's where you park boats.
The home run.
Let's go ahead and get that beer out if you don't mind. Shut up, goat.
Huh? Oh, that was audible. Sorry.
John Page killed it yet again. Monstrous donation. Yes,
John Rage.
That is John Rage. Exactly right. The John Rage virus, of course, at the beginning of 28 Days Later, as we all know. I'm sorry, Tor, but he warrants a shotgunning, if you don't mind.
Anything for John Page.
John Rage, as they say. Just anything to stop his his honesty.
Some things you don't share.
And good, let me just say thank you to you, and you know what for. And Dottie, you too.
Some things you don't share. There are vaults in this world.
As far as I know,
Years of friendship,
Yeah,
Chad.
yeah.
Years of friendship.
I doubt that goats and Dotson's women have intestines. I've never heard anything about them, and thank you for that.
No one will ever know.
That's a great point. John Page is like, she's got Crohn's disease.
No.
Crohn's disease.
No.
You uncomfortable, Dottie? John Page, thank you for the donation. Tor, if you don't mind, please. All right, Jester. Hey there, boy. Nope, there it is. Perfect. Oh, a whole shotgun. Look at this. Right down the old throat. Right down the throat, just like one of those weird stop animation cockroaches.
Smooth and easy on your throat.
Alderan whiskey. Who do you think gave it to Guinan?
Tor, I heard that through the headphones.
Yeah, dude, he's got a weird belching thing that happens.
It happens like in his upper chest.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't actually come out of his mouth. It's
Yeah.
very, very unsettling.
If you don't mind, a quick cheers, loud go. Bruce Tuttle is nice enough to donate
Salud.
as well. Thank you. Salud, my friend. Very, very generous. Oh, I got some bad news for you, Tor. I got some bad news. Corey Rita did the damn fucking thing.
No, we're going to activate the subwoofer again.
Oh, boy. I'm sorry, bud. You're going to have to get out in the shuttle ahead of the Enterprise because of those big warp bubble things, and we're going to have to steer around them. Not the bulkhead's going to appear in the middle of 10 forward.
So, actually, about this episode,
Yes.
one of the things I really appreciate is how uncomfortable and, like, very kind of, I guess, displeased Guinan is to play along with the Dixon Hill stuff. At the beginning.
She didn't want to be a
She's
part
just
of
like,
it at
look,
all.
and as soon as there's any, like, hitch in the giddy up as
Pushback.
far as the scenario, she's like, No, look. All right, look, don't ask me to participate in your stupid.
I'm a real
crap. It's
person
like,
and you're a hologram.
Yeah, it's like this is dumb.
I mean, I think here's the appropriate time to have this conversation because you see her. She walks up, she raises her dress, she snaps the garter on her leg. Are they fucking?
I think that if they're not, they want to intimate. I don't know. That's an intimate thing for her to do.
Yeah.
But she's showing the holograph and the fucking
hologram secretary.
You think maybe at the end they're fucking? Because why else would she put them things on?
That's what I mean.
Oh, that was the
this is
ultimate
Picard's
goal.
This is Picard's design. You know, he's buying the lingerie for his wife. Like that's. I feel like that's the energy that I'm getting.
Well, outside of Vosh, who of course is the archaeologist broad, like he doesn't have a lot of romantic interest. I mean, him and Beverly have a bit of a flirtation from time to time.
But they've got a weird sort of backstory with her husband.
Yeah, he
dying
killed
and-
her husband.
Yeah, all that stuff. But
whole deal.
that can get
Sire,
in the
her
way.
fucking bitch of a son.
God. I sent your father to his death. Now get off my ship.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing if that conversation
Fucking-
happened? Was it, is it Jack Crusher? His name's Jack Crusher.
What about the episode where him and Wesley are just on a shuttle?
I think he was in like a Midwestern wrestling promotion.
I don't
in the
know.
late 70s.
Either
Jack
that or
Crusher.
he's his own Lothario. And he's just like, oh, Jack Crusher's coming to town. All the chicks are lining up.
I love when the two of them, they're just on a road trip for like hours on end, sitting on a shuttle. They have nothing to say to each other.
Oh, they have plenty to say. All right, this is for Corey Rita, if you don't mind.
Hold on, Jester. You've. I normally look at him before he sends me off.
Well, look, you're not going to criticize Jester for saying hater boy, are you?
I would never.
It's like criticizing a peacock for having multicolored feathers.
Yeah, it was communication.
This is for Corey Rita, if you don't mind.
Yep.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Look at that.
Boom.
That's quite a... Did you finish all the bush lights?
No. Oh, here we go.
Oh, this damn man.
No.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's the subwoofer.
He sounded like Deanna when that fucking thing possessed her. The plane has...
People were not happy with my behavior at the last beach trip with the burping.
It was. There was one that was so bad that you cleared the whole level, from what I recall.
I'm trying to keep it a little concealed.
As far be it for me, though, when gas is involved, to be judgmental.
That is true. That is true.
I love this episode. I thought it would be a good one for Tor just because you don't necessarily have to know all the players. It's a mystery that's being unfurled, and once you kind of get Data's deal, it's one that like you can kind of just sit and enjoy if you don't know anything about it. And it's a nice kind of contained type of event.
Oh, I liked it a lot, and then I feel like this is the first one that I watched, so I said, okay, I think I'm kind of understanding everybody through this. It was a good introduction. Say, okay, Data.
That's a great point.
Little kind of got some robot action going on.
Robot action.
Picard's doing his thing. He's got his right-hand man, Riker. All right,
Riker.
cool. We're getting this all figured out.
Nice.
I wouldn't give for some robot action.
Yeah, no shit. Right-hand man action? Are you kidding me?
And that's one of the things if you watch that one first and then you watch Conspiracy, at the very beginning it's Data doing his super robot I don't get humor.
Oh,
as a human does
this is
with his
the laugh
He's
thing.
doing the
Oh,
weird
yeah.
fake laugh.
Yeah, where there's still it's still very much robot Data as
Yeah.
opposed to I've evolved a little bit, I've learned a little bit more. So that's kind of jarring to go from a more evolved Data who actually does seem to have some feelings.
There's a lot of Data playing the violin. There's a lot of bad concerts on the Enterprise. You ever notice that?
Yeah, can you imagine?
You have to sit and watch a fucking recital. I'm like, there is a holodeck 2 doors down from here. I could be fucking Pam Anderson. I'm sitting here watching Data play the
You
viola.
have to watch a robot. play
This
a fucking
stinks.
clarinet. Oh my god.
I'm gonna watch Riker pretend like he's getting locked up in an asylum. Fuck you.
They could have Jimi Hendrix on stage with Led
No
Zeppelin,
shit.
or we
Put me
could
in
watch.
Cancun. Yeah.
We could watch this. Yeah.
I could watch Jimmy. I could watch Matt Hardy fuck Janis Joplin right here in front of everybody, and I'm sitting here with you, ham and eggers.
Get off my ship.
That sounds. I'm not sure which I'd do at that point.
I think I know exactly what you do. Good.
All
I'm
right.
not going to put your business in
You
the street.
got me.
All right. I could watch Danhausen eat Goldberg's ass, and I'm sitting here with this fucking strap-hanging class. I hope there's no first-timers watching tonight. All right. Are we done with that one? It's good.
I like the flashback.
Which one?
I like when they do the flashback to show
okay.
how it happened. I
moment.
like the here's how it really happened. Like again, because when I saw the episode name come through, I was like, hey, can we just watch Clue? Like, can we watch?
This is a very Clue-ish one.
Yeah,
But it's,
the big reveal is kind of fun.
I put this up. I think we all commented on it. For as much as Data seems to be the cheat code and like the algorithm, he doesn't. I mean, they all solve it. Like he's just kind of they actively
he's trying to keep it a secret.
Yeah, they outwit Data in this one. He's not able to keep. The mom is not the word. As they find out more and more information. So I kind of like that part of it too, because it's honestly like, all right, we're all fucked up. Data, you're not affected by radiation. We're all blacking out. Save us again. Like there's a bunch of episodes like that. This is not one of them.
And that's why I would put this episode on the list of essential ones, even though it's not. It doesn't have the stakes of something like Best of Both Worlds or Redemption or something like that. I do think that you get a really great idea of Data's significance to the crew, and I think it makes the show a lot better in those Data forward moments for the rest of the seasons.
Who's more important of a character to this show, Data or Picard?
I
go back and forth with that all the time.
I mean, I think they're hand in hand.
Yeah.
To me, this show, the backbone of it is Data and Picard.
Right.
Yeah, and
which is why they. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think Picard edges him out just because he's the conscience so often. Like, even though he is kind of resisting a lot of the human urges to either kill or take over or solve with violence, like he is.
Meanwhile, Kirk is doing all of those.
Right.
And so I think that's where Picard is definitely the anchor. But yeah, Data's right there because he's almost a person who brings that out in Picard on a regular basis.
I think the show is as much about Data's journey as it is about anything else.
Yeah.
I really do. Especially, I hate to. I probably shouldn't have said anything, but where you ultimately know like how they survive when the whole thing comes to a conclusion. I haven't watched Picard, so I know that he's not a part of it, but his brother is, that they find, and they put his brain in there or whatever. Which not Laura, the dummy one that Noonien Soong had. B4 is his name B4? Am I speaking French?
No, I know what you're saying. I'm
in a room full of Star Trek fans. None of you guys know what I'm talking about.
Season 1 of Picard
I'm just letting you roll there. It was like,
right. Well, no, but that happens in TNG when Data's got there's like that dummy fucking
There's like the extra terrible one. I don't remember.
That's in Nemesis, where they find that the droid that looks just like Data but is way stupider.
Season 1 of Picard, I think, is really bad, but the best moments of it do revolve around the Data relationship.
I do think that that's something that we could do in a second episode, is we watch those two seasons and then talk about that in relation to the rest of the show. Okay. So that was Tours, Clues. That's one of my favorite episodes. We get to King Dingaling.
That's right. I Borg.
You're
Season
King Dingaling.
5. Hi there. I'm King Dingaling.
Here we go.
Please put that in my machine, Tor.
Okay.
If you don't mind.
I've been waiting for this one.
I'd like to have that, by the way.
Hi there.
This is King Dingaling, by the way.
I don't bet on sports, but I like betting on the Oscars.
I ate shit, by the way.
Oh my god.
Fucking
And your
ate
bets
shit.
on the Oscars?
Down bad.
Well, that's a real shame.
For anyone who cares.
Jesus Christ.
Season 5, episode 23, I Borg. The Enterprise.
You didn't have 700 billion unfunny Will Smith, Chris Rock memes? You didn't bet on that?
No.
No wonder you ate shit.
Yeah.
That wasn't on your bingo card.
You gotta get the
I
wild
don't bet on
cards in
sports,
there.
but I like betting on the Oscars.
Fucking shit night. I hate movies. Can we just do a Star Trek show? I fucking hate movies, dude.
I don't
never
like
want to
them
do a
either.
movie
They're
show
not
ever
good.
Again.
I'm not a fan. I want to watch The Northman, I'll tell you that much.
Can I get that bottle, by the way?
Huh? Oh, sure.
Thank you. Appreciate
Here's some whiskey for you.
Appreciate you.
Oh, you.
Hold on. Drunk Dotson is my favorite person on Earth. The quicker he shows up, the better off I'm going to be. Nobody on Earth I enjoy seeing wobble towards me than Drunk Dotson.
It's either a wobble or a sprint.
Hey, Dukes, I have COVID. Come on in here. Come here. Hug me.
Can't wait to get a face full of armpits soon.
I love it. It's my favorite thing in the world.
I'll change into my tank top.
Fucking weird fucking lip hair just coming right at you.
Good stuff.
Pulling off long brown hairs off my sweatshirt. What? Where did this come from?
Tor, I know I've said things in the past.
Oh no!
You can't run a board for shit.
You think Goat likes me?
Hey, I fucking know Goat likes me.
Wait a
man.
second.
We've been friends for years.
It's cool on the show, but I don't know. We don't have any real conversations.
All right, your episodes. I'm sorry, bud.
What's that?
Huh?
I Borg, season 5, episode 23, The Enterprise.
Tor is I'm bored. Hi-oh.
The Enterprise finds a lone Borg drone separated from the collective.
A
and
lone
brings him aboard.
bored drone. It's right to my left. I'm sorry, Dottie.
The drone begins to reassert his individuality, but his presence causes differing levels of fear and sympathy
Right.
from various crew members.
I'm going to wear these ugly, weird shorts no matter what you say, Dukes.
Can't wait for the photoshops.
Oh, my God.
As Hugh.
Is you?
Those better come up tonight.
Huge terry cloth shorts.
Gonna assimilate.
Not so huge penis.
Thanks, goat.
All right, let's move on.
So what happens is the Enterprise crew is investigating the wreckage of a Borg ship, and they find a lone survivor whom they bring aboard to the Enterprise, and right away people are fucking pissed.
Even before he comes on board.
Actually, they're like, don't do that. It's like Ripley in Alien. She's like,
Yeah.
no, there's protocol. Don't fucking bring
It's
him
like
on
when
here.
Ripley, whenever the fucking elevator donger goes off over there. Now, go. Did you watch this one live?
No.
This is one of the first Star Treks I remember watching as it was on television.
Yeah, I don't believe I caught it when it first aired.
May
When-
9th, 1992.
When they
Yeah.
first, there's a scene where they first find the Borg corpse, and I remember going in my living room.
Yeah,
my mom had this tiny 19-inch TV on top of a pie safe, and she had gone to fufucking sleep. It was like 11 o'clock at night. It was a rerun.
It's kind of interesting because you see blood all over the Borg corpses.
The green blood.
Yeah, very interesting.
Yeah. It was good. There's blood all over. In the Robin Hood one, Picard and Geordi and all them are running motherfuckers through with swords, and there's blood all over the swords. And
It's just, yeah.
it seems, again, a little out of character.
Well, and it's also one of those things where they could get away with a little bit more because it was a syndicated show.
Yeah.
It wasn't network TV. They kind of had a little more free reign away from those network censors. And that just of the era,
Sure.
you saw a lot of TV shows. That's, I think, one of the more larger aspects that I wouldn't mind touching on when we finish talking about the
Well,
episodes.
the show was, I think it was average like 10 million viewers.
Yeah, it was a
fucking week.
runaway
It was a
hit.
monster hit.
Yeah.
Which is why, like, when you look at it now and you're like, well, those rocks are paper mache and those barrels that just fell on Worf aren't very heavy. Think about that. I mean, think about
Yeah.
the special effects are way better than the original series. The model work is really good, I think. Like, when you
Very
see
much so.
a Romulan warbird, like, pull around in front of the view screen, like, oh, shit, that looks good. But it's crazy, like, how many people actually watch this show.
Yeah, it was, again, it was a smash hit, and it really put the kind of independent syndicated television on the map in a big way. Before, it had just been kind of throwaway sitcoms and a couple of horror series here and there, like Tales from the Dark Side and like Freddy's Nightmares, things like that. But Star Trek The Next Generation came along, and it proved that you could do something away from the networks and have it be not just okay, but
Right.
an actual viable success story. And it kind of paved the way for larger scale non-network television to come. It was really a groundbreaking
And
series in
sci-fi
that regard.
television, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
The other part of it that's sad is you read about the end of it. It never had a dip. Like it never had never had the part where people like in Dexter, people always say, "Well, it's after season 5, it stinks." Like it never had that, and the ratings never went down. If you read why they ended the show, it still doesn't make any sense to me because the actors were getting paid, but they weren't getting paid like Friends money, where it's $1 million an episode.
That's the
And
drawback
the
of
reason
not
is-
being a network show.
Yeah.
The reason is they iced it to save budget for the movies.
I think
wanted
they
to
were
start-
they couldn't keep it in their pants.
They wanted to start making TNG movies because they couldn't make movies with the original cast.
Which
anymore.
blows because a lot of those TNG movies should have just been really solid episodes. Like if they came out of the gate with, we're going to do season 8 and 9, and then they hit First Contact right out of the fucking gate, I think we might still be getting Next Generation movies right now.
Yeah, the movies did not have that same sort of epic feel, like even from the original Star Trek series to those movies.
Right.
Even, I have my issues with that first movie, but it felt like a big deal. Like it was a huge movie.
I saw it in the theater.
And Wrath of Khan
It's one of the best movies ever made.
Yeah, and so you see
Wrath of
that.
Khan?
Yeah, and comparing that to the original series episodes, you're like, whoa.
Yeah, Wrath of Khan is so. Don't take any disrespect with this. It's so much better than those awful episodes, of that awful TV show.
It's okay.
It's the
We've
worst.
discussed
is.
this
It's-
before.
I hate
it's
it so
crazy.
much.
But Wrath
how
of
good
Khan
it is.
is way better than the original series.
Great
Yes.
fucking movie. That's why people are like, go back and watch Khan when he shows up in the series. I'm like, no.
I know you've told me to pound sand many times.
Not
over
just
that.
you. Ted has asked if I would do it too, and I
Okay.
told him to fucking
I think we
love
might
it.
Sometimes he'll text me out of the blue, say I'm not fucking watching it. I'm like, dude, we haven't talked in a week. Like, I didn't bring this up.
I think Ted and I might have both tried to
double team me.
Yeah, at the store one day.
The cock in one hand, cock in the other.
That's exactly what it was. I was thinking it was more like Picard and Riker shooting at the
Hey, you're
alien with the
shooting at
phaser,
me!
but you take it how you need it.
Fucking had an Eggo Pop-Tart right on my chest after that conversation. I know. Your episode, Dotson. I apologize.
So they bring this Borg survivor on board, and immediately Crusher is the one who says, I need to come to his aid. We need to figure out how we can save him. And Picard's immediately like, no, absolutely fucking not. Get him off my ship.
Worf straight up just goes, kill it.
Worf's always right, by the way. They never
They
listen to him.
disregard his ideas on a regular basis.
The answer is clear. Yes, step on that thing's trachea until it stops moving.
And then Geordi is in charge of keeping him, keeping him in prison basically,
Like
and they,
fed.
Yeah, and they cut off like the Borg signal so that he can't reach the collective and all that, and so quickly. Crusher and Geordi become invested in this Borg survivor, and they try to teach him humanity now that he has been not completely severed, but he cannot like reach the Borg collective as a whole.
And what's cool is they start out in somewhat different angles of
Yes.
being invested in keeping him alive, where Geordi kind of wants to figure out what is happening
like
under the
scientific
hood.
interest, yeah.
And Dr. Crusher is just like, well, we have to make sure he's okay because I'm a doctor. This is my entire like purpose of being is to keep things, healthy and happy.
Great writing right off the bat. You can tell who is, interested because Crusher and Geordi are talking about him like a person. And everyone else is saying it. They're like, kill it, or we don't know what to do with it. Riker's saying that, Picard's saying that, Worf is saying that.
Guinan's saying it times 10.
Because Guinan's like, what the fuck are you guys
She's got the
doing?
vendetta.
The scene, I'm reading Vendetta right now, by the way. I'm all back in. I don't know if you can tell. I'm fucking balls deep. There's a novel called Vendetta about. No, I don't want to get into it, but it's about
There was a
Hugh and
novel
Guinan.
called Balls Deep.
I'd read that too. As long as it's about Riker and some alien bitch. So there's a scene where Guinan and Picard are fencing, and there's that great scene where she feigns an injury. She's like, "Oh look, I was hurt, and
You felt sorry
how
for
did
me."
you end up?" She stabs him in the chest. It's like this great fucking scene. And like the whole episode again revolves around her changing her opinion, and then when she does, then she tells Picard, "You need to go down there and see this thing before you send it back to kill all of its people." And then he reluctantly, by the way, has the Borg transported to his quarters, and then has Worf leave.
Bold.
That to me, but that fucking scene where Hugo's Locutus,
Yeah.
and then he just
it's
flips
jarring.
right- Dude, I
Yes.
love that fucking scene.
And
It's
that's
almost
just like,
chilling.
The hair stands up on your arms.
It's fucking fabulous.
It's great. It's great fucking storytelling. It just pulls back from so many different moments of the show. Yes, Tor?
So just real quick, Picard, the season finale of season 3 into season 4 is by far the best 2 episodes of this show, and probably the best 2 episodes of any show of all time.
Okay.
In it, the Borg show up and they assimilate Picard, and Picard becomes their votive, their spokesperson.
Gotcha.
And his name is Locutus.
Okay, now it makes sense.
So he's fully assimilated.
Yeah, that's a detail that kind of flies over your head if you're watching this episode by
During
itself.
the course of the Riker stages this crazy rescue that puts the whole Enterprise at risk. He shouldn't have done it, but they're able to grab him. So when they blow the fucking ship up, he survives. But for the rest of the show, whenever the Borg are involved or whatever they're referenced, he still has Borg implants in his body. He never really fully recovers from it.
It's like a trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So when Hugh shows up and he goes Locutus, and then he just flips right back into fucking, all right, I'm going to cosplay Locutus here. It's like if you watch the show, it's a really big
impactful.
moment. Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, and it also, you feel like maybe he's being a dick. He's kind of like,
little bit.
well, I'm going to convince you that you should go back and then it turns out, no, he's just testing him. And that's kind of the second time out of these 4 episodes where someone like Picard was tested in conspiracy by his old colleague, asking him details that only he could know, and then here he's kind of flipping it on Hugh to be like, okay, well, resistance is futile, and then when he finally goes resistance is not futile, it's like,
it's a big pivotal moment.
It's such a big deal.
He's not
just
an automaton.
One line, just one line is such a big deal for I think the whole show really. And another reason I think this episode is so great is it really. It says so much about what their mission is and what they're all about.
Itself,
the Federation, because what their a plot detail is that half of the crew that is anti-Hugh, anti-Borg, they want to rig him and then send him back to
as like
the
a pub.
collective
as a
so
virus,
that he will kill the rest of the collective. And I think it's Crusher says.
Can you pause 1 second? Was that you?
Yeah, it was just a little, very, very
We
mild.
all heard it.
Dude, you have to go get an endoscopy?
Endoscopy.
You're 23 years old.
I mean,
just the bubbles.
It could be the shotgunning.
Does your stomach hurt every day, Tor?
do
no,
you make the...
You still having the nightmares?
Well, I mean,
I'm in my mid-40s. I don't make those noises. What I'm saying is that he's way too far down the path. For those of you that didn't hear it, Tor's done this now 3 fucking weeks in a row where he's just sitting there and goes, "Ugh," in his fucking throat.
I tried to purse my lips there. It came through.
You're not worried about that?
I just know I'm drinking the bubbles. So it's that's what happens.
But Dottie's not making that noise. We're all drinking the bubbles.
Well, I see Dottie drinking the liquor.
To be fair, I was making
drink.
those noises 3 years ago.
Okay, you were?
Yeah.
All right.
He'll come around.
Real
or
quick,
he'll leave forever.
We just got a new subscriber on Facebook, Jason Breeden. Thank you so much for signing up.
Hey,
very,
thanks,
very kind. And he actually, I don't know if this is the first one he's watched, but he is new. And before you finish that thought, Tor, I'm sorry.
more bubbles.
Danielle Connor, just biggest donation of the night.
I can't be mad at him for any more noises.
I'm not mad at him. I am fucking worried about him. I don't know anyone his fucking age.
I shouldn't have made that.
I am worried. I don't know people. My dad makes those. He's 68, 9 years old. Ant-Man is pissed for the 8th time.
He's got the biggest blue britches on tonight.
I know they're
can't
humongous.
stand it.
I understand they make me angry too. But your throat, you have throat cancer, and I want you to get checked out. That's all.
Deflect.
He does a great job. When Ant-Man's wearing some big blue pants, I gotta fucking I lock it on them as well. Big blue pants on Ant-Man. Big blue pants fill up the room. Big blue pants falling right down on the floor.
Big blue pants, tie it off. Oh, wait, hang on.
Big blue pants don't cover one butt cheek. All right, Danielle Connor, you are incredibly generous as always. Thank you so much for the support. Luckily, young Gerd over here is going to
Younger UNG.
well, if he's going to be like a trap hop superstar, he would be young. He would be young Gerd.
Tor, you better sign some.
I feel about you saying trap.
Hey, Tor, you better sign some of these posters, younger.
That's a great idea. Trap hop superstar young Gerd. It's a very, very long mumble rap phenomenon, young Gerd. All right, you ready?
Not yet.
All right, let Chester know. This is for Danielle Connor. You okay?
This is
Yeah, I'm
Performance issues.
I get funny guy.
You want some horny go weed?
Fucking buddy goes to Louis.
Yo, you want some gas station dick pills, dog? I got you. Take a fistful of these. You ain't gonna hang out no more. I'm retired, dog.
Dog, I've been hungover for 4 days.
I'm closing the door. I'm closing the...
I can't wait to tell Dotson all the movie news.
There's a lot. This is not the time or place.
All right, sorry.
There we go.
Yeah.
Hey there, boy. There we go. Oh, you fucking dude. You just gleeked on me. Gross. He did. He gleeked all over me. Well, I just got gleeked in my face. Thank you, Tor.
Thank you, Danielle.
Very generous of her. Everybody's been generous tonight. Danielle, Bruce, John, Corey, Phil, and Danielle again. All of our donators tonight. Thank you so very much. Donate on ChadwickShow.com. You were saying, Dotson, about Hugh and, of course, those pivotal moments where he's speaking to Picard. Did you at all have any of the reaction that I did where I like it when the Borg... I don't like it... I hate to use a Mortal Kombat comparison, but Shao Kahn is supposed to be the biggest bad on the block.
Sure.
And when he isn't, I always feel like... I feel like the whole experience is lessened because he's supposed to be the king. Snake. I feel that way about the Borg. So in this moment, this was the first time we're kind of seeing them vulnerable because the way that they defeated the Borg in the Best of Both Worlds was like chicanery. It was sleight of hand. It was like a miracle home run throw. Here, they're fucked up. Like, they're hiding on the other side of the planet, so when they beam them all up, like, they don't know where anything is.
Well, in Season 5, you are, and this is the end of Season 5, you're closer to the end than the beginning of the show. Mm-hmm. And I think this is, you are right, this is the start of the Borg is not the biggest threat, because the show ends with Q being the biggest
Same
threat.
way it began.
humanity being its own biggest threat to the entirety of the universe.
And while, I think the Borg is a more fun villain to watch, in the grand scheme of things,
They're great.
like just quality of episode, the Borg are better. This does diffuse the Borg's significance to pivot back into the grand finale of the show being battling Q.
Sure.
Which is why I think it does work.
There's a scene in the Best of Both Worlds where Picard has his Locutus get up on and he has that one tear trickling out of his fucking eye. And I think that when you talk about your greatest fear as a human being, I think most people would probably say death. But I think even more so than that is like, Alzheimer's. When you talk about
losing your sense of self.
But not just that, Goat. Being the notion of being trapped inside yourself, where you're not in control, is probably the most terrifying thing. And sleep paralysis. Nobody had sleep paralysis 20 years ago. Now everybody has it, and they're terrified of it because they're in their bodies and they can't do anything.
And it's over. Yeah.
And I think that's the reason why the Borg were so fucking scary is that they weren't killing everybody. You were trapped inside of it, and Picard was in there. Like, he's in there fucking existing. And I think that's why they're so terrifying as a villain. And I think that if they showed up in, a Marvel movie now, can you imagine how people would react to them? Like, they're kind of sloughed off now because it's like a stupid Star Trek show. But just the concept of, no, we're not here to blow up your planet. We're here to assimilate you, and you're going to help us assimilate other people, like your family and your loved ones.
You're just going to be part of the stack at this
it's
point.
just a horrifying idea. It reminds me, what is that great Michael Rooker movie with the... Slither. It reminds me a lot of Slither.
Awesome. James Gunn, awesome fucking movie.
Great movie, but like same kind of concept where it's like you become this hideous slug monster.
Yeah. You just get like enveloped in.
You're just part of the hive mind.
Yeah. Well, and as I was saying earlier, like I love what this says about the overall like mission of the Federation, because Picard is all for let's fucking kill the Borg. Let's send him back and kill the Borg. And Crusher says, well, that's not what we do. We don't eradicate species.
Right.
That's not our mission.
It's 100% genocide.
Except fuck them. That they should have.
He says we're at war, and she says, well, like, we haven't decided that we're at war. They're trying to tell us that, and she even says, like, they don't say that they are at war with us. They're just telling us what they intend to do. And I just really, I really like the morality that's debated.
Again, but the temerity to say we're not at war when you go back to Wolf 359 and they destroyed 48 fucking ships with like thousands and thousands of people on it. It's a very TV show thing.
Sure.
Like if this was a real life and this actually happened, you put the virus in the guy and you kill them all off because you're saving your own kind, which anyone would fucking do. If you show up on their planet and you start fucking them up, you're an asshole. But that's not what happened. They were heading right towards Earth. They had to do what they had to do. That's where it's kind of TV show-ish.
I can see that.
The moral dilemma.
I think it's also the perspective that Picard doesn't know that he even has until he talks to Hugh.
Yeah.
Where he realizes, like, oh, you can be saved from being assimilated. You can be an individual again if that door is even open. And in some ways, not murdering them actually ruins what the Borg were, as more than actually just eradicating
That's
them.
true.
So they open that, like, having that moment of across the entire collective self-realization that their selves are still in there. That's kind of almost a bigger ticking time bomb than just wiping them out.
And if we're at season 5, I think Deep Space Nine has started or is just about to start.
I think it's season 6.
Okay, season 6.
So
like
they ran.
At this point, they're probably developing, Deep Space Nine. They're trying to think of, ways to incorporate drama, and they need to figure out how we can use the Borg, but we don't want to recycle from TNG. So maybe we'll make them more, acclimated to the Federation or whatever. I get the behind the scenes.
Or they're
stuff.
even looking at it as a way like, if total domination by the Borg is inevitable, well, then what are these other series going to be? Like,
How are we going to make
by
content
season
for
3,
30 more years?
Here come the Borg. Everybody's hanging out.
But I do think they could have been Brock Lesnar. I do think that you bring him back every 2 to 3 years, and they're still the baddest fucking bully on the block. I think there's some genuine fucking worth to that, and ultimately, they take care of. I know the Borg show up in Voyager, but once they have that whole season with lore, or that whole the back and forth, they're just not. They're never the same.
And then you have 7 of 9 running around Voyager too.
I think I'm going to bring this thing in for you guys to read. In Hive, the book again, the graphic novel.
You can just call it a paper episode.
500 years in the future, Picard makes the decision. We do need to wipe out the Borg.
It was wrong.
So it's kind of when you go back to this, it's just weird having just read that, and then we're watching this where they're still saying no, we can't do that.
Well, then you'll be. I know we keep talking about it. You will be very interested when you watch parts of season 1 of Picard.
I've heard that because they're involved.
There is good stuff about that show. I just think that it could either be
shorter,
half as long, or the other half could have been a different fucking storyline.
Well, let's watch it and we can chop it up.
It seems to be coming back around with season 2. I will say.
And they've greenlit season 3, and
I like that.
7 million people have sent me the article about how.
Did you hear about that?
Yeah. Tor, what did you think of this episode?
I was infatuated with Counselor Troy in this episode.
She's smoke.
Figured
I
that
think
out.
Smoke show.
She had that
That's the rating
tracksuit on.
system.
I'm
Yeah,
sitting
yeah.
here like, wow.
Tracksuit.
Yeah.
Like Reverend Run.
I'm telling you, it was my biggest takeaway. I'm sitting here like, wow, best fit that I've seen on her. Fucking boner time, taking that so we can get
Boner time. I don't like that.
I didn't know what time it was. Apparently, it's
There's
boner
no place
time.
for boner
Nah,
time
it
on
was-
the Fortress Film
I-oh.
Society,
I'm
my
sorry.
friend.
It was.
I don't know.
How dare you?
I can't pick and choose. It just happens.
That one Ferengi had boner time for Loxana Troy when he kidnapped her and put her on the fucking ship. You know what I mean? You met Troy's mom yet?
I haven't.
You ain't
Not in
marrying
these
into that family.
episodes.
You're not marrying
Tell you
into
what.
that family.
Oh, what's going on? I'm not good enough.
You run away screaming. You'll elope and never see the family
You
again.
want to talk? You know how Jester's dick goes inside of me? Is to push the button to get it to stick out. You will have that phenomenon every time Loxana Troy walks onto the fucking screen. Your penis will go right inside your fucking body.
Is she in probably what, like 6 or 7?
I think she's in at least one episode per season.
Bro,
Yeah.
she's in way too many.
Yeah.
Way too many. And then she ultimately goes off to that planet to watch that dude die that she's enamored with. So, well, it's not that her looks. Look, you fucking ageist. I'm not talking about her looks. I'm talking about she's a huge pain in the
Yeah,
ass.
it's her,
She looks
her-
like a pain in the
her
ass.
overall demeanor.
Yeah, if your submarine is sinking, her voice would be the thing that's screaming at you while it's going down. Auga. She'd be saying auga over and
Just
over.
over and
again.
over.
Yeah. But other than boner time.
Were there any qualitative-
I hate boner
Well,
time?
unfortunately, now it's canon.
It doesn't need to be. I'm sorry, but
I'm all in.
it was a very satisfying solution, I thought, to handling the Borg.
Why is everything sexual?
Okay.
It
Hold on. Did you
No. No.
you
So
fap?
don't.
No. Hand
Why-
up. No.
Stop.
There's no. No.
Let's not. Nope.
You're amongst friends.
Hand up. No. I didn't.
You know why
Thank you
Goat
for
doesn't want to
saying
go
that.
down this road?
Oh,
Because Goat's got a condominium down this road.
I'm so shit. Are you feeling?
Goat's like, did I? Yes.
Good, you got an itemized
I
list.
cannot
this.
confirm.
Everybody's fapped to Counselor Troy.
I mean,
I definitely will. But
all right.
But
I can suggest some episodes.
as to so far I have not. No. The solution to saying, all right, let the hive mind find a little bit of individualism, let that tear themselves apart. That was pretty good. After you see that, Hugh found a little bit of humanity, or a little, at least not hive mind.
Did you like Hugh?
He was kind of asshole, but he started
Really?
at the beginning, but then he started becoming like, all right, I fuck with
Well, if
you.
you
a little
think
bit.
Hugh's an asshole, you're not going to like any of the Borg because he's very benign. His
Yes.
asshole is very benign.
he starts out kind of lost, like a little lost sheep.
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of thing. Yeah.
I think he's very likable.
Yeah.
He does the rounds too. Like you can go to the cons and shit and get his autograph and pictures and stuff.
When he took the eye out, I said, all right, I like you, Hugh. You
Yeah, you
just
just
took the
handed
eye
it to
out.
him,
Yeah,
yeah.
all right, here you go, Jordy. I'm like, oh, he was
That's
he was
true.
a good
I
guy.
like the fact that it just popped off. Like it's
Yeah.
meant to be modular.
I'd watch a buddy cop spinoff of just Hugh and Geordi going around like in a shuttlecraft.
And that's my favorite thing about this episode is the Geordi Hugh
He's good.
dynamic. And I love the fucking end when they are beaming Hugh back up to the Borg ship and he has a look. His
That little
eye
glance.
just moves over to
Yeah.
Geordi and Geordi is like just like baffled because the Borg doesn't
They
do
don't
that.
care.
And
Yeah, they don't have feelings. Yeah.
The first time I watched it, and that's why I chose this episode, is the first time I watched that one, that moment made an impact on me. And I do, like I said earlier, I think that there are a lot of dumb Geordi episodes.
Yeah.
But this is a really good one. And he's not maybe the main focus, but there's a lot of him, and there's a lot of good Geordi stuff.
I like Geordi as a character very much. Like he's one of the most likable characters on the show. But the episode where he falls in love with the holodeck woman and then they bring the actual woman in and she just cucks him for fucking an hour.
No wonder LeVar Burton's mad. Like, how many episodes are there of him just like taking a random crew member on a date in the holodeck, and they're just like, no,
No thanks, buddy.
no, I'm done.
that
And-
visor. No.
Well, he's supposed to be a nerd, right? Like he's supposed to have the plight of the nerd in that show. Like everybody can't be, slinging dick 24/7 because Riker's slinging dick, Picard slings dick all the time. Worf is like the Duras sisters are constantly trying to jump on his cock.
By the way, Wood.
Oh, that one Duras sister.
Fucking would.
I don't give a fuck about her teeth. I guarantee Tor's been with women that have teeth like the Duras sisters. I guarantee it.
Was that when, was it the new...
He's Googling. Look at him Googling.
Was that what the new TNN, when Raw moved over to TNN and they were
what the
showing
fuck?
Next Gen? Yeah.
No, I haven't.
And they had that series of promos where the one dude was sitting in like the janitor's closet
I don't
at
know.
TNN, and he's like, oh, would you? Would you? And
Well,
it's just like, yeah.
I would is the answer. Admit it, Tor. I mean, I would do both Duras sisters, but the
Just for the experience?
the one sexy one that's always after Worf is,
Yeah.
Ant-Man's Googling now, too. Everybody wants to see the sexy Duras sister. Needless cleavage, that's all I'll say. Which is wild. Tor, you getting ready to file away in the fat bank?
No, they will not be in it.
Hold on. Guess who ends up with Troy? Guess who ends up with Troy?
It ain't Worf, is it?
It's Worf.
What? Hey, good for Worf.
I know. Oh, Ripley is not happy about all the yelling.
That's me.
I'm sorry, Rips. I'm sorry. My bad. Worf ends up with Troy by the end of the series.
Oh, shit.
You'd watch that video, wouldn't you?
Oh, my God.
You go on the holodeck and watch that. Goat is so uncomfortable, by the way. This is not what he signed up for.
It's like, well, so you see the dynamic between Data and Picard.
It's just a part of it. Just a part of the dichotomy.
It's part of being human.
It's a good episode. They're all. I enjoyed all of these very much. They were all kind of different too.
Yeah. I like that we each had one from a different season as well.
I would be down to do that again. Like for us,
that was a big reason why I chose mine as well. As I saw no season 5.
Yeah, let's do that. I think there's. I don't know how you guys feel, but I think there's 2 more episodes of this that we can do. Where one of them is we each pick another episode, and then we do Picard 1 and 2, like leading up probably until season 3. What do you think?
I like it.
All right, quick. I know we got you had some stuff you want to touch on. I want to remind everybody again. Order a poster. There's 41 of you in the chat right now. Go to CommonwealthDryGoods.com. They're all signed event posters from the actual show. Tremendous artwork. We're going to do one for each episode that we do. There are one-offs. Did you want to comment on the series as a whole?
Well, that was one of the things we did kind of talk about it a little bit, is how it was a watershed moment in television, and how like it was the first important show, really the most important show that wasn't a network show.
And also 25 years, I think, between the original series and this one.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Now, I know there were movies, but that has to be some kind of a fucking
But
record,
also, like,
right?
no fucking DVDs, no streaming.
Right, yeah.
Like no, not nearly the level of accessibility that you have now.
Yeah, you had to tune in to whatever your local station was that was carrying it at whatever time they wanted to carry it, and you saw the first episode. It was a little rocky, but it was like, oh my God, Star Trek's on TV again. I remember the run-up to that first episode premiering, it feeling like a really big deal.
Right.
And I remember even just seeing, I guess it was the summer before it premiered, at a convention somewhere, they showed the opening sequence with the voiceover.
Goat was at a convention somewhere, Tor.
Good for you, Goat.
You might be surprised.
You know what? Good for you, Goat.
But they showed the opening with the voiceover, and it was goosebumps, like, because it was like, oh my God, like there's going to be Star Trek, like new episodes of a new Star Trek series. And, as with everything, thankfully there wasn't an internet back then, so you couldn't be told it was going to be, shit
God.
before it ever hit the airwaves. So there was obviously the kvetching that you would get from the normal people, like, well, it's not going to be the same as the original series. Like, okay.
Yeah, it's way better.
Fine.
Fuckface.
Let's
a real show.
See what happens. And so I think that was the anticipation for this was high. And I think that people who have not maybe weren't around when it premiered, like, don't necessarily have that kind of
You remember
vibe
the
for
premiere of the show?
Absolutely.
You were at a con during the premiere of the show?
for the summer before it premiered.
I need to see his ID. I need to find out how old this man is.
very
Was it 1992? Is that when that was?
88, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
The show was off the air for 2 years before I was born. Before I was fucking born, dude.
So anyway,
Yes. Was the first season 88 or 89?
I believe it was 88.
Look that up if you don't. This will take Tor.
I think it was
Or 87, actually. I think it was 87.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
You're a lying liar. By the way, did you have-
87 to 94.
Suck my
Fucking
dick and balls. Fuck you.
God damn it! I hate being wrong. Edit that part out.
Oh, gotcha.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Don't fucking.
Tor, isolate that.
You know how embarrassing that is that he was going to edit that out. How quickly, by the way, did Tor Google the Duras sisters' teeth when he thought we were maligning his sex life?
I mean, when you're motivated, you get results.
I guess so. I don't think any of the other series that have come after this have been as... I can't say that definitively because I haven't watched them tape to tape. But like when you go back and... I watched 2 episodes of Enterprise.
Yeah, Enterprise
It's supposed to
is
be the
a
worst
rough
one,
ride.
right?
It's
But
I haven't seen any of it.
This show did a remarkable job of, and I think I described the latest Scream movie like this. Like, you have this enormous baggage of, we have this incredibly popular thing, and we need this to be different, but we also need it to be close enough to what happened before that people are going to dig it. And to get that perfectly right, I just... And then to introduce the Klingons as like an ally, that was such a great twist because
Absolutely, yeah.
they're the big bad in the first series. I don't know. They did so many things correct, and I think Data's better than Spock, and I think fucking all the characters that are whatever you think their equivalent is in the previous series, I think they did a better job here. They're less cartoon-like.
I'm a sucker for Bones, though.
I got you.
I really
understand.
fucking love Bones.
I like Bones when Bones is shitting on Spock, especially in Wrath of Khan when they're like
green-blooded bastard.
just shitting all over him. Like, yeah, of course, you racist motherfucker. Just hates fucking Vulcans.
Well, and that's one of the things you mentioned about that get you when Picard refers to Data as being so humid or human, as enunciation is important.
Or as Frankie would say, human. Thank you.
So,
Thank you. There's no market for that at all. You got to understand how good that impression was, Tor. That's why Smoky Mountain's losing it in the back of the fucking room. Thank you.
and that's one of the moments in Wrath of Khan when Kirk is delivering Spock's eulogy, when he says, of all the souls, his was the most human, and that's a touching thing for these people that are kind of, in some instances, people disregard Data as even a being, and I mean you see that in the episode where where Picard defends him.
Get bent.
And so you see where he's almost maligned as something that shouldn't even be.
Right.
And when he has those moments, when someone actually gets to know him as whatever it is that he is, as the soul that he has developed over time, that's touching. And that's, like you said, that's kind of the arc of the series. That's kind of the arc of Star Trek, is that no matter what you think of the person on the outside, no matter what this being may present to you at first, take a moment to understand, walk a mile in their shoes, figure out what they've gone through, and there's a chance that you could reach some sort of understanding.
Except the Ferengi.
Well, yeah,
they're bags
well,
of shit.
you know what they are.
Fuck 'em.
But you know what they are after you've learned
Fuck
about
them sideways.
it.
When you say, I thought it was great when you compared this to the new Scream movie, where you've got this baggage or this burden rather, but you're also paying tribute. I do think there are moments of TNG that pay great tribute to the original series. DeForest Kelley is in the opening. He's in the season premiere.
Okay.
And one of my favorite episodes actually is, I think it's called. Is it called Legends or maybe
Relics?
Relics.
The one with Scotty?
James Doohan's playing Scotty, where they just find him and like Scotty's going around the Enterprise D just like being he's
doddering
kind of being,
old man.
Yeah, but like everyone's like pissed at him, and he's just trying to like figure out what the world is.
The part where on the
I think it's an
holodeck,
incredible episode.
he conjures up the old bridge of the Enterprise, and then like Picard walks onto that bridge.
Oh
like,
my god,
"Oh."
it's
Nerd
such
boner.
good television. Like it's fucking
Boner
great
City.
television.
Boner
now
City.
we're in Boner
And
City.
you have the stuff with Spock,
Dude, and then Troy walks in between them, and they both fuck her at the same time. It's
That's the director's cut.
unbelievable.
All in.
airtight tour.
Well, I'm going to teach you about airtight
Yeah,
after the
wait
show.
a
That ain't airtight, young man. It's a good show.
Great show. I mean, there's plenty more episodes that we could talk about as a group.
It's got a lot to offer.
It does. It does. I think maybe less whiskey next time.
At least the same, maybe less.
Maybe all Darren whiskey. Is it green? He's like carrying the bottle around. Scotty's like, I just watched the one with Spock too. That's a big cliffhanger. I like that one. It's trying to do the reunification between the Romulan world and the Vulcan world.
Picard is undercover as a Romulan.
For whatever reason, I get steamed up whenever Picard and Data, like any of those guys are like undercover with like the fake, bowl haircuts and the pointy ears. I get steamed up. I don't know why I like it quite a bit. All right, let's call it off. Is there anything else that needs to be said? Oh, what is this? You pulled the music?
The outro theme.
We have an outro theme?
The outro theme
This is
for
the end credits.
Star Trek The Next Generation.
Oh, nice. Technically a terrible name, like on the nose.
Yes.
The Next Generation. That kind of stinks.
And it spawned a lot of parody as time had
Sure.
gone by. Kind of how for a while there everything was max. Well, you get max and plus now. At that point, it was something the next generation.
Yeah, but at least Deep Space Nine, Voyager, all of it
Yeah.
kind of feels like
stood on their own.
Discovery kind of stinks. What's the new one coming out with Pike?
It's Strange New World.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it.
It looks pretty good. It looked okay.
Yeah, I love the idea of it. I'm gonna watch it.
So-
Goat seems mad.
No,
he
not
seems
mad at
very
all.
angry already. I
fucking
saw that
furious.
too.
What's on the
Yeah.
I'm contemplating it.
He looked angry though, right?
Fucking jerk.
You know who plays? You know who plays Pike in the J.J. Abrams movie?
I don't know who Pike is.
You'll
I'm
be
so
steamed.
sorry.
Okay, he's the captain before Kirk.
Okay.
But you know who plays him in the J.J. Abrams movie? You'll be steamed. Chris Hemsworth. You like that?
Tor, I have a stack of Blu-rays to bring in next week. No. They're fucking
And I got
good.
a stack of comic books to
Also,
bring in.
also,
I can't
also,
fucking wait.
give me the Terminator back. Give me the Terminator back.
I'll give you how many novels I have
This is
here.
what
I have so many TNG novels to give this fucking piece of G.
Spent all those years playing sports, acting like a big man.
Yeah, well, how good is that doing you right now? Fucking fat chicks that listen to us talk about Star Trek.
Yeah.
Chester went, "Oh my God, there, boy!" All right, thank you to everybody that watched live in the fucking chat. We appreciate it. If you didn't watch live in the chat, you'd like to just become a supporter on Facebook. Go to the subscriber hub on Facebook.com/Shadook Show. Posters are available on CommonwealthDragons.com. Pick one up. Greatly appreciate it. And Goat and Dottie and Tor, thank you, boys. This has been tremendous.
Oh, it's been a wonderful time. I enjoy going down the nerd hole.
You didn't work up a fucking catchphrase for this thing, did you?
I tell you what, I'm tired of talking, dude.
I had one.
Oh, you did?
Yeah.
Oh, fuck. All right, go for
I
it.
mean, I had one, but yeah. it was-
Photon torpedoes coming at you.
Holy shit.
Fire all phasers.
I thought it was getting set up.
I mean, you could tack on to
No,
the
no,
end of it. I
please,
was going to say 4 to beam up to 10 forward so Dottie can start drinking because he's tired of talking.
That's not bad. All right, now say your
I'm
line.
tired of talking, Dukes. I just want to go up to the holodeck and get drunk.
Goat did a good job.